Welcome back to the West Ham Network, and you are joined by Anton, Matt, and our another guest this evening, Holly. Holly, how you doing? You okay?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. How are you both?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Well, sorry, I'm good. Sorry, Matt, are you good?
Yeah,
are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Oh man, what a transfer window it's been. Listen, first and foremost, let me introduce ourselves. Anton, Matt, Holly, we're here to talk to you everything about the transfer deadline day. Are we going to be busy? Are we not? We were led to believe we were going to be busy, and then maybe we're not. So we'll have to wait and see. We've got loads to discuss. We can go through the team. We've got special guests coming on tonight. These guys are special guests, of course, not just other guests coming on, but we do have a few of the ex-players coming on. We're not sure what time, but just bear with us and you will see them coming through the door. But we'll go straight on to you, Holly. You know, as you can see in the banner going along the bottom, Craig Dawson has been potentially looking for a move back up north, and it looks like the deal has collapsed. Matt, just before we came on live, said that he kind of felt sorry for Dawson. Where's your head at?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I mean, I really don't want Dawson to leave. I rate him massively. I think he's been brilliant. I think the way he's gone about this seems quite respectful as well. He'd be a massive loss to the team. I just think he's so solid. We had such low expectations of him when he joined. He's been brilliant for us. And then when I heard that he might potentially be leaving, I was a little bit heartbroken, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I want what's best for him, which is not what you should feel as a football fan, is it? I'm sort of yeah, I don't really know what I want to happen. And I've been like, oh, maybe we could find some arrangement where he only comes back down south, because I saw that he'd been living up north basically the whole time apparently, which is a tremendous effort to get to London Stadium. But yeah, I don't want him to go at all, and secretly happy, I suppose, that it looks like that deal's collapsed. But it's a shame that he's obviously very keen to head back up north by the sounds of things.
Absolutely. I mean, Matt, if I'd have said to you 2 years ago, mate, that we would have signed Craig Dawson, and literally the outpour of upset West Ham fans on social media and just in general, any West Ham fan all over the world would be so upset at the thought of losing Craig Dawson, you would never have believed me, mate.
No, look, let's not forget, not a lot of people wanted him when he came in the first place. I was sort of up for him because I thought he'd be what he was, which is just like a backup, fourth, fifth choice. He was like a Collins replacement, wasn't he? That's all it was.
Yeah.
Ginge was retiring. We needed like an old school head in the dressing room. He came in, not so much fanfare. Watford fans were happy to see the back of him. And then you roll forward 2 years later, and like Holly said, the outcry. And the thing is, it's not just like individually. It's like you go on social media, it is unanimous. Like everyone, when we read this story, was like absolutely devastated. Dawson's leaving. Like he's literally put himself up to like cult hero status in a very small amount of time when he was honestly expected to do not a lot. Like he was almost brought in as like the David Martin of the centre backs, and he became like, especially last season, he almost became undroppable. Like he was the solid foundation in that defence.
Yeah,
and I'm with Holly as well. I think a lot of fans have sort of said, well, actually, you know, I mean, is he driving down from Manchester every day? That's like a...
Well, hold on a minute. Hold your horses. There's some breaking news, but it's not West Ham breaking news. Aston Villa have signed Dendoncker officially. We will come on to Craig Dawson in a second, but Holly, earlier on today, West Ham were linked with this kind of snowball effect deal that was going on. So, you know, Dawson was going to move to Wolves to replace Dendoncker. Dendoncker was going to move to Aston Villa to replace the player. He was going to move to replace the next player. And it was this snowball effect. It was ridiculous, wasn't it, at one point?
It really was. And I've sort of been watching because obviously I felt like we got most of the deals done that we needed to get done earlier in the transfer window, which was quite nice because I felt a bit more relaxed, a bit more excited by watching Sky Sports all day, trying to see what's happening. But this whole snowball effect thing, the whole day I've just been sort of eyes on the screen, seeing what's going to happen. But it does seem obviously we've been linked with, there's a lot of names that over the transfer windows we've been after and reportedly been after and put bids in for, people like Dendoncker. So bit of a merry-go-round, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. But Matt, go back on to Craig Dawson. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I was like the unanimous outcry of no one wants it to go, but Like I said, like it only come out like didn't it, like a few days ago. But in some ways, I think surely they've known about this longer than 3 or 4 days. Like the club has fully been aware for 2 years he does not live within 150 miles of the training ground. Like if you just go on Google Maps now and you put in like Dagenham to Manchester, I think it comes up like 219 miles. And he's driving that there and back.
Well, I would. One would
even
assume,
if it's the train, the train's like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
No, but one would assume though he's probably coming down to training, staying over for a couple of days, and then heading back to his family. But and then let alone the fact that if we're on a European journey, which we were, it's changing it. And I mean, to be honest, you could put this down to the fact that maybe when he moved to West Ham, I mean, I don't think we expected the success that West Ham had, Holly, really. Let's be honest. We didn't expect the continuation of 2 and a bit seasons to constantly continue having positivity, and we've had that. And I know footballers have belief in what they do, but I don't think even Dawson would have thought that. So he may have thought it was only really a short-term thing to recover and then do a job, because he was initially only signed for it. Was that right? For like 6 months, was it? No, I'm trying to remember back to the deal.
Yeah, it wasn't long, and then we renewed it, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm sure we did. Yeah.
I doubt he thought he'd be such a pivotal part of our lineup when he signed. I don't think anyone did. But yeah, absolute legend. He's done so well for us. But I imagine that it probably he thought he wouldn't have to be playing every single game. He didn't expect himself to do so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, earlier on though today we were linked with another player from Southampton, and we all thought that. I mean, let's be brutally honest here. It sounded like we were going to be really close. It was Jan Ben. I'm terrible with pronunciations because someone helped me out. Bednarek, yeah. The Polish international, 6'5". I mean, apparently the medical was getting booked, and he was on his way. And now Aston Villa sweeping in to bring him in. Matt, what was your thoughts on that mindset?
Look, if the medical was booked, the only thing I can think of is this: was Moyes having second thoughts again. Because he's done this previously, hasn't he? Where he's got really close on the deal. Was it like Milinkovic last year, and he ended up right at the end cancelled it and ended up going back in for Zuma?
Yeah.
But I suppose in some ways, I think it kind of feels like that was like the number one option if we couldn't keep Dawson. So maybe this was going on in the background, but then Moyes has just been sitting in Dawson's ear. Maybe the club have given him some leeway. Maybe he said, you know what, we won't pick you for the European games. So you won't, because we probably will get maybe some of the kids can play.
Yeah.
Gued's going to come back and need fitness time. So maybe Moyes has given him some sort of promise that I'll only put you in the team once a week so he can go home or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems strange, but it's almost like Bednarek was if Dawson didn't work, if Dawson didn't stay, and then something changed and Dawson's ended up, all right, Dawson's not leaving. Okay, well, don't worry about it. It just seemed that it wasn't a transfer that was solely being done for the sake of being done. It was like it just felt like Moyes wanted to fill a loan spot, and if Dawson went, we could get someone on loan. But if Dawson's not going, well, then we don't need him.
Yeah,
how it seems to play out for me.
But let me bring in Dan from the 12th Man. Dan, if anyone doesn't know, Dan runs his new channel, the 12th Man, Premier League football. Honestly, get on it. If you're watching right now, go across to the 12th Man. Dan, might be worthwhile throwing a link in the chat and letting people click on it and they can go across and subscribe. Great content.
Yeah, sure. I will.
Across there as well. But Dan, you've heard us talking about Dawson. I mean, I said to the guys here, like, who would have thought 2 years ago we would be in this situation? And now you're like, oh, please don't leave. Please don't leave.
I know. I would say probably 90% of the fan base was when we signed him. We're like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing? And now he's like cult hero status, really, isn't he? I'm kind of in the camp though that if we're being led to believe that that's the sort of travel he's doing, and because his family didn't want to move and whatnot, we should be giving him the move. I think. I know, even if it leaves us a little short, I feel like Johnson can play centre back. Potentially, Cressy can fill in. I just feel like we should just be giving it, mate. Honour it. I know it might leave us short, but
Holly, what do you think in response? Or go on, Dan.
What it is for me is, I hope that if he is staying, it's not going to be detrimental to his family life. Do you know what I mean? You don't want because then that's just that's unhappiness in the camp. Do you know what I mean? He's done it for this long, but if he really is that unhappy and he wants to go, I don't know. It's a hard one, mate. Hard one.
Well, Holly, what do you think? I mean, should we just let him do what he needs to do? I mean, you're kind of torn, aren't you? Because he has been a solid member of our squad and a pivotal member of our squad as well. So many good memories in the last couple of years. Part of, probably in our generation who's on the screen right now, the best 2 years that we've seen consecutively. And he's been pivotal as part of that. Great memories. The first one that comes to mind is him smashing Shea Adams' head off his shoulders in Southampton.
You're welcome.
But do you know what? I remember watching the game. I'm sure we done one of those watch-along things. And actually, at the time, you were thinking, what is this guy all about? Like, I love him, but I was like, he's wild. Like, he's nuts. But yeah, on you go, Holly.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he's enough of a professional that it won't affect the West Ham side of things. But like you were saying there, that I do kind of want what's best for him, and I wouldn't want him to be against his will kept there, because I don't know whether it would affect his performance, whether it would affect the morale in camp. I imagine it wouldn't. But it's just one of those, it's like really bittersweet, isn't it? It's sad because we don't want to say goodbye to him. It doesn't seem like he particularly wants to leave the club. It's just that we're in the wrong bit of the country for him and he wants to go back home.
Yeah. I mean, another player, there's people in the chat, we've got so much to talk about, and we'll kind of reminisce about the transfer deadline as well. And we're hearing, your typical comments from David Gold, go to bed, don't go to bed, all that sort of stuff. Nobody's been saying that, but there's murmuring saying, things can go to the wire. So we're going to be here to the wire. Like I said, we're going to have special guests coming on throughout the session. However, let's address this comment here. Ashby staying put with the Newcastle deal off. I know we've got you, Holly, for a short time, so I'm going to come to you first with it. Earlier on today, Harrison Ashby was linked, and we were in strong negotiations with Newcastle, apparently, about signing him on a deal. Now, some of the Sky Sports reporters are saying that deal is off. The question I've got for you is, and we can talk about it more, but do you really blame Ashby?
Oh, I've seen both sides of the argument on Twitter today. So on one hand, obviously for us, I think playing for West Ham would be our dream. The thought of turning down the opportunity when he's just starting to get a sniff of being included in the team, he's getting some European time as well. So it looks like he's on the verge of being able to break into that squad and being able to prove himself. So the fan side of me wants to be like, how could you at this point sort of cave and go somewhere else? But then I saw another tweet that said, if you were offered for the job that you do right now, the same kind of job, you could get double the money at another employer. Would you go? You wouldn't probably think twice. So I can see from both perspectives. And at the same time, is he definitely going to get played? There's no promises. Maybe he'd get played more at Newcastle. So I can see why he'd be tempted to get that chance of first team Premier League football. But I feel like he's also right on the brink of getting a chance with us. So it would be a massive shame if he did go. So I was happy to see that he wasn't leaving. But yeah, it'll be interesting, I think, to see what happens because he's clearly keen to play. But yeah, I don't want him to go. But I also half understand why players get itchy feet and want to leave at this point in their careers.
Myself and Russ, about a month ago or so, done a particular show on the youth, and we actually had some of the ex-pros come on and discuss how, and we used segments of the interview we did with Tony Carr and how much that would affect the young players by not playing. And then I referenced a podcast that Ben Foster did with on the Fozcast, and he was talking about his advice to the young players was go out, go on loan, or in the nicest way possible, leave the club, because the Premier League is at that stage now, and if Ashby's looking above him and going Safal, Johnson, and players that are versatile, and we've got games and there's injuries, and if you think about Alessi last year where he had an opportunity to step in and that didn't happen, fortunately we had a player come back. Can you really blame these players? Because Ashby's is he 20 years old?
20. Yeah.
20, and it's a short career, and he needs to get games under his belt, and it's again changed my mindset on our youth players, because it's like he does look like he's talented. Fortunately, during the pandemic, Russ got a chance to really see Ashby, because he's at the stadium. He was only one at the stadium watching the under-23 games. He absolutely thinks he's a quality player, thinks he can make the step up. But the problem is with these younger players is how, when, and can West Ham manage their expectations? And I know there's comments in here. We can look at Jeremy Ngakia, who went to Watford, and he didn't even get game time now and should never have left. I think that, I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it, Dan?
There is something that needs addressing at the club though, where the youngsters are concerned, because it's happened too often where we'll see a talented youngster, we'll hear about them, you know, and they're either not being given a fair crack at the whip, or they're not proving themselves enough in training when they get a chance with the first team, and then it feels like they take the easy way out. It always feels like they think the grass is green on the other side. And the issue I've got with Ashby is clearly there's a talented player there, but rather than bed in when he's being given the chance this season to potentially prove himself, he doesn't want to do that. Instead, it's I'll take the easy option, I'll take the money. That's how it feels. Obviously, we don't know what's going on inside the camp. It's just we look from the outside in, don't we? And it feels like that's been the case with all of them. Ngakia was given a little bit of a chance. The interest came in from Watford. Where's he now? Like literally doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's happened too often where we have these talented players come through, and there just seems to be this very weak mentality with younger players now. You know, I remember listening to Alan Shearer talk a while back, a couple of years back, and he was saying they should bring back the apprentice scheme and actually show these youngsters that you've got to work hard. You know, because, you know, we've got 18, 19-year-olds on silly money or wanting, you know, Perkins is a really good example of this. He wanted 30 grand a week, but he hadn't done anything. Do you know what I mean? And like, I think it's too easy for the youngsters now to go and earn big money. So rather than like bed in and try and prove yourself at the club you're at, they just take the easy option. He ain't going to play at Newcastle. You've got Kieran Trippier. He stays fit, he ain't playing. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? He's coming in as cover because Kraft's gone down with a ACL. So if he was to go, he's not going to play football. He's going to play no more football there than he would with us, in my opinion. He's probably going to stand more of a chance with us because we've got Europe.
There's a lot that can go wrong as
go on,
well.
Holly, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say there's so much that can go wrong. So the grass might always seem greener. People go to another club. Like you said, there's a good chance you won't get played. But then again, even if you have been performing well in a team, it's completely different when you go to another club. And if you don't hit the ground running, before you know it, you've been forgotten about and you're no longer in an academy or a system that's trying to push you through. So it's where you can get lost if you do take that leap and you're not really ready.
Yeah. Matt?
I'm going to say some controversial things right now. People are going to get unhappy. Our academy isn't very good, right? It's not. We overhype our players so much. Noble and Tompkins come through, and then we had nothing until Declan Rice come through, and he wasn't, you know, he was partially from our academy. And that was what, like, it was like a 8-year gap in between. Like, we get this thing where because they're from our academy, we have that, you know, attachment to them. But how many players that come out of our academy that we were like, oh, they're going to do well, are playing in League 2, League 1 and the Championship, that they never go any higher? Reece Burke got chances in the first team under Big Sam. Been a mainstay in the Championship. Elliot Lee. I don't want to start ringing off player after player. Ashby aside, I'm talking about in general, we do overhype them. And Perkins, like you said, is a prime example. He said to West Ham, I want first team money because I'm going to go play first team. And all these Leeds fans said to me, oh, no, it's not about the money. He's going to come and play. Where's he going? Where is he? He's in the under 23s.
Yeah.
And they lost Rodrigo last night, Tuesday night, to dislocated shoulder. And what did they do today? They tried to go and buy a centre forward. They tried to go and buy Dieng from France. So he's obviously not ready for them.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Dieng from
I
France was sitting on the runway in France, waiting for, I think his agent must have been talking to, is it Nice? And
he was in the private airport at Nice waiting to get on the plane.
Was it in Nice? Yeah.
Ready to go.
Ready to go, and then and also ready to go to Leeds. He was doing a bit of both, and then I think Leeds just eventually pulled out, didn't he? So
pulled out. You're missing about. Yeah. But yeah, so when I was talking about this, I was saying Ashby aside, because I again, controversial opinions can upset people. I think he's a better right back than Johnson. I think if Johnson has a long-term career at West Ham, he will have a long-term career as a left back. I genuinely believe Johnson plays better at left back than he does at right back. And if Ashby is given the time this year to progress, and like Dan said, maybe play in the cup games, play in Europe, given the opportunities that Johnson's previously had, he will be a better long-term opportunity. and he was only going to Newcastle A for the money, and B he may have played a couple games at Newcastle. I mean, Trippier is a bit injury prone these days, so he may have been first choice backup Trippier. But personally, like I said, and Gakia I wasn't bothered about. He even said himself he knew that even Johnson was in front of him at the time. Perkins I wasn't particularly bothered about. We saw him in the Europa League last year. He's not built to be a centre forward.
Yeah.
In the modern game, playing one up front. But I tend to overhype up. Like, I don't want to give one more name. Diangana. Everyone went absolute ballistic. Noble even put tweets that it doesn't do against the club. And where is he?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing as well. If Moyes really trusts Ashby as much as we're led to believe, why was he in the market for a right back?
See, this is like the ITKs of social media have said. He's only got a year left on his contract, and at the moment he's refusing to sign a new deal. So the idea was he's not going to sign a new deal, we'll sell him. Now, allegedly, Wolves are going to pay like £5 million for Dawson. We're going to make a profit on it. So Moyes was going to take that 5 million, take the 2 million from Ashby we were going to get, and he was going to buy the guy from Torino, the English Nigerian right back who played for Chelsea. So once Dawson's move fell through, basically West Ham sent to Newcastle, no, you can't have him.
Yeah.
So mate, it so now it's on Moyes. Because Moyes has been saying to him, you are part of my team this year, you're part of my plans. So Moyes has now got essentially up to a year, well, it's not a year, is it? It's like 9 months or whatever, to give him the playing time and convince him to sign a new contract.
So let me address. Well, we'll kind of just divert a little bit just now. We're on the deadline day. Holly, over to you. What do you think, if you were Moyes or you're looking at the squad just now, what do West Ham need to finalise this squad? What would be your preference? You know, what would be like, what positions, how many players would you like to bring in before the deadline closes and then move on to for the rest of the season?
So I think defensive midfielder for me is an important one because Moyes doesn't seem particularly set on Flynn Downs yet. And obviously Souček did well against Spurs, but I think it'd be good to have a bit of healthy competition, to have someone that we can bring in for tactical reasons. And then should Rice leave in the future, hopefully we'd have somebody there ready to play. I think it would just be good in terms of sort of solidifying that position. So that would definitely be my main priority. I feel other than that, we've strengthened the squad massively. We've always wanted, obviously, this striker that never was happening. And I feel like we've done that. I feel like we've got, obviously, Aguerd. It was a shame that we've lost him to injury, but he looked absolutely unbelievable. So I'm excited to see what he can do when he's back. So other than a CDM, I would say we're okay for now. Like, I would say that's been a very successful transfer window, in my opinion, if we stop there.
So you can see along the bottom there, Aubameyang is back at Chelsea. He's currently completing his medical as we speak. Live images are coming through of him in London, and his comment is, "I'm back, I'm back." And you know, that really kind of starts to push Armando Broja further down the pecking order. We do know Moyes has liked Broja for such a long time. Dan, can you see this one happening? I mean, I don't see a permanent deal for him, but could it be a loan? I mean, what do you think?
Maybe. You never know, mate. Silly season. Anything can happen. You know, I'm calm. This is the calmest I've ever been on deadline day. We've had such a good window. Like Holly just mentioned then, we could do with a CDM, and I do agree with that. I'm surprised we didn't go in for Gilmore. Obviously, looks like he's off to Brighton, and the fee doesn't seem too high. I just feel like he would have been a good squad player, you know?
Dan, hold your thoughts there. Over to this man. Go on, Matt. You knew I was going to do this, didn't you?
Yeah, I think that's too much money. I think it's way too much money. He had an average Euros for Scotland.
Yeah, but mate, come on.
Mate, I'm sorry, right? Listen, I have to put my hands up here. Just for people that don't know, that I've rammed it down their throat several times, I don't support Scotland, even though I've got the accent. I'm a massive England fan. However, living in the country, I've got no choice sometimes when I watch football, when it's on the bloody telly, I watch it. Billy Gilmore didn't have an average Euros, mate. He didn't. Against England, he was probably the best player on the park. and I was supporting England against Scotland, and he was quite possibly the best player in the park. So I do think there's something in there. It doesn't matter, he's not coming to West Ham, but I actually think Brighton have got a pretty good deal, and I think Graham Potter knows a talent. I think that's what
he's young. The thing is, he's young. There's still potential there. He's just a little injury prone. He's just been a bit unlucky, I think, with his injuries. He's never really been given a proper run. This happens with Chelsea, youth players at Chelsea. They're never given a proper go. You know, rarely are they. You know, they've got that academy and they make more money from it than they do actually use the players. I think Brighton have got themselves a good player there. Sorry?
Yeah.
It's cash cow.
It is. And their loan system. Before they changed the loan rules, they used to make something in excess of 30 million a year from loaning players out.
Yeah.
It's mad.
So Holly, Broja, I mean, would that be someone you would love to come into the club? Can you know, apparently we've been chasing him for such a long time, but I mean, could that be something?
Yeah, definitely. He's one that I've sort of had my eye on throughout the transfer window, and we hear that there's a chance and then there isn't a chance. I definitely think he'd be a really good addition to the team. And touching on what we were saying as well about positions, there's obviously, I would have said right back, and now it sounds like Ashby staying. Maybe we've got him as a backup, and it'd be interesting to see what he can do. But that would have probably been the other position that I would have wanted filled, just for like the dream transfer window. And then, yeah, I feel like we've got everyone we could need. The main question is going to be how Moyes can actually bring this team together now and what we can actually do with these players, because they all look talented, but it's a challenge to get them all working together, and hopefully we can do it. But the challenge begins now. Absolutely.
And I think we saw that. And I think this is the thing I was saying about the transfer window. Like, I'll be really happy when this window is done, because like you said, Dan, I do feel relaxed about it. It's different. There's no panic now. We've done our business.
Well, you think, mate, when we were sat here in January and we were doing the deadline day in January, and all of us were sat here and we looked like we had the world on our shoulders. Like, it was just, this is awful. What is happening? How have we not signed one player? And now we're sitting here in the summer and our business was done before today. And, you know, if we got anything today, it was a bonus, if we're all really being honest.
Yeah. It really is. And I mean,
it's the fact there's people still moaning that we haven't spent money today. We've spent nearly £200 million this summer.
That's the thing. I've been looking on Twitter and I'm like, I don't understand.
I can't get my head around it.
There was rumours this morning, and it turns out the Joe's rumours that Tielemans and Gallagher were both in talks for Newcastle. And I see West Ham fans saying, how the hell are they both? Why aren't we in for them? And it's like, we've spent nearly 180 million. Well, I think we're the second or third highest spenders in the league.
As good as Tielemans is, he wouldn't have worked for us anyway. He doesn't.
Well, let's talk about them two, but in particular, you know, people in the chat have already alluded to the fact that Conor Gallagher is one of my, you know, from the start of the window, I was like, go all out and get him in and bring him in, because I think his bite, his determination, his ability really would add value to our squad. I get it. He got sent off at the weekend there. I think that was just a bit of naivety, his youthfulness, you know, getting his first start, getting in the moment. But when you've got a player who has consecutively performed for West Brom and Crystal Palace in the Premier League and being a standout player for a full consecutive season, and on top of that, being a standout player against West Ham every time we've played against them as well, I think that's why Moyes potentially, if the rumour's true, likes him. And for me, the question is, would we throw 30 million quid at Conor Gallagher on deadline day or ask for him on loan? I mean,
loan,
yeah.
I mean,
I mean, a Chelsea raid, is that on? I mean, Holly, I think if I'm right saying it, we can't loan two players from the same club.
No, we can't.
No.
So if you had to choose one or the other, who would you want, Holly? If you had to.
I do rate Tielemans. I think I'd go Tielemans if I had to. I don't know. It's just such a difficult one, because I think there are so many players that are out there and we want a certain type of player. I don't think we just want any sort of solid CDM. Instead, we need someone that's going to pretty much play in a similar way to either sitting back and allowing Rice or Souček to go forwards, and likewise being able to do the same the other way around. But I don't know. I genuinely would take either, but I wouldn't want to do it if Moyes didn't think it would fit into the system. And I think for the same reason, we've clearly approached targets throughout the window that we've thought have made sense. And I wouldn't want us to just like buy someone and throw 30 million at a player that wasn't going to work. So I feel like that'd be a massive shame. And for once, we've actually got the investment that we've needed this transfer window. So if we can turn this into a big success and then go again in the next transfer windows, I think that's what's going to be most important for the future success of the club. So it'd be a shame to throw a load of money away and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I don't for a minute think that Tielemans was ever on Moyes' wish list. Just based on talking to my Leicester friends, I don't think he's a Moyes player. He doesn't track back. He's very lazy in midfield. If you had him and Gallagher next to each other, Tielemans is the better player. No, I don't think any of us could disagree with that. Tielemans as a more complete midfielder is probably a bit more up there. I think Gallagher's passing needs working on, but I think that's something you can do. He's young. Tielemans is probably a bit more complete, but he doesn't. A lot of people think he's a holding player, but he's more of a deep line playmaker and will go box to box. He's a bit more of a technical version of what Souček gives us. You know, I don't think his defensive side of his game is actually all that strong. And a lot of my mates who are Leicester fans all say he's very lazy at tracking back, and you'll see the midfielders run past him, and he just won't, drop in and do that. And so that for that reason alone, I don't think Moyes would look at him. I think he'd just be too lazy for Moyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a question in from Happy Amaret. I've not even read it before it's come on, so I have a question, guys. Asking everyone to see if there is a common ground, us not included. If you were a fly in the wall tonight at any other Prem club, where would you want to be? Nottingham Forest.
Forest.
Everyone.
Yeah,
Forest.
I mean, so as you can see,
they're on the verge of making signing 20 and 21, aren't they?
Well, I think if they bring
They're
in
on 20.
Batshuayi, they're on
They're
20.
back
So,
by. He's done.
Yeah,
Batshuayi.
but there's one more they're working on.
They're working on. There was someone from abroad.
Yeah.
And a kid from Blackpool.
Okay.
So that would be 20. That would be
mad.
22.
And they still haven't announced Serge Aurier yet, who's a free agent.
So
he doesn't have to be announced today. So they could just concentrate another transfers today.
It's unbelievable.
And get Aurier finished tomorrow.
It's
23 players. I know they only had like 11 or 12 players because like half their players were on loans and frees. So they lost half their squad. But they've now got like over a 30-man squad. And they've basically just, like for me, don't get me wrong, because it is a sort of situation for a championship team that comes up where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Fulham done it a few years back, didn't they? When they went massive, bought a load of players we were interested in, none of them worked out. They got relegated. Most of them got sent off to Spain or Italy or Turkey, right? And then like last year, Norwich. Was it like no? It wasn't last year. It was the previous time they come up, and they spent basically nothing. Last year they gave it a bit of a go and spent 80 million, and people said that wasn't enough. You need to spend more. So it's like, do you not spend money and go straight back down, or do you spend the money and then they go, well, you signed too many players? I personally think they've signed too many of the same players. You know, not to dig anyone out, but I don't know if anyone did see it last night. Lingard was sat on the bench.
Yeah.
Like they'd already brought in someone to replace Lingard.
And they signed something mad, like 6 fullbacks.
Yeah.
It's mental. When you actually look at it, like I was having a look
they've
today.
Signed 3 centre forwards.
Yeah, I was having a look today, and I was like, none of it made sense to me.
It was like, left backs.
Yeah, they were. It's almost like they've looked at the window and they're going, "Oh, he's free and he's available. He ain't going to cost much." And it's like that whole quantity over quality is what it seems like. We see Fulham do it, didn't we, in 2019, and it didn't work for them. And I'm worried it's going to be the same. But the bit I'm confused at is Arsenal got FFP knocking on the door. Now Arsenal are one of the clubs that run at a profit every season, and yet they've got FFP knocking on the door. How have Nottingham Forest not been questioned yet? Because
I saw something interesting about that.
Hold on, sorry to interrupt. We've got some breaking news. But it's not West Ham. Liverpool have signed Arthur, not Arthur Masuaku. Don't panic. But they've signed Arthur from Juventus. We'll bring you all the news coming from other clubs. Sorry, Holly. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, so I saw something interesting about Nottingham Forest and how they're not going against financial fair play. And basically, because they've signed everyone on 4 or 5 year deals, the cost per year is what it's actually taken on. So if you actually look at what they're technically spending this season, it's pretty low and falls within what they're allowed to do. But I said exactly the same. So I took a look at how many players they were buying for how much and what that meant. But because of the amount of sort of terms they've got in the deals, it means that they've managed to get away with it. But it's absolutely mad how many.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they were saying it's why a lot of clubs now are signing players down to like 4 or 5 year deals and then giving them options. So then you can run it over those next 12, 18, 24 months as well.
Genuinely something weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Matt, before you
value depreciation.
Matt, 2 seconds. I'm going to bring on another guest. Cess is back. How you doing, my man? You all right?
Yeah, it's been a long time, yes.
It has
been a really, really long time. It's good to be back. It is good to be back.
Good man. I'll let Matt finish and we'll come to you, Cess.
Yeah,
in a minute.
go for it.
One, Matt.
Sorry, no, yeah, it's got some really weird, complicated name. It's basically like asset depreciation. So Simon Jordan was explaining the other day on TalkSport. So say you buy a player and you say he's worth 20 million, right? It's 20 million, but he's only worth 20 million over the length of that contract. So each year, say it was 20 million, you gave him a 5-year contract. Essentially, it's like 4 million a year. By the end of it, he's only worth the last year of his contract, he's only worth 4 million quid, which is why Derby got in serious trouble with financial regulations, because they basically didn't. Although it's not the official rules, it's essentially how every accountancy team works in football. That's how you do it. You buy a guy, you pay whatever the price is, that's what he's worth, and every year that he goes down of his contract, he loses that percentage. So 4 years of his, 25%, for instance.
Yeah.
For anyone, sorry,
So
for anyone
Forest can do it like that.
For anyone that wants to know why I was working, I'm currently getting reminded of the best deadline day moment over the last 10 years, and it's when the young lad put the
I see that carp earlier
on the reporter's face, and it's just showing up there, and I'm like, sorry, Matt, I couldn't keep a straight face with it. Cess, mate, what a window for West Ham it's been. Kind of before we ask you your thoughts on the full window, just on today, on deadline day, where, if at all, anywhere do we need to bring in and strengthen?
I'd probably say getting another centre mid, but I can't really see that happening. But with the window that we got, can you really complain? Because it's kind of everything that I asked for, that we needed from the end of that last season. From that second half of last season, you saw how we had no strength, no depth whatsoever. We were missing certain key players in certain situations where it's like, if we had that centre back, if we had that centre mid, if we had that creative player, if we had that striker, what could have happened? But but we've got what we wanted. Really, we have got what we wanted and a bit more. So I can't really complain about it, because no one would have expected getting Lucas Pressure. Like no one would have saw that coming whatsoever. It's glad that we kind of that all Lingard situation kind of happened, to be honest now, because if that would never have happened, we wouldn't have got those type of players, to be honest with you. But you can't really complain, man. I can't, and I'm the one who's kind of complaining in certain aspects, but you can't really complain.
I tell you what, Holly, Cess brings up a good point there about the Jesse Lingard situation. It went on for so long, and I was originally completely hands up in the camp of bringing him into the club, like within reason, no matter what. Matt, I know you changed your opinion and we're not a fan of it, but when it comes to Jesse Lingard, do you agree with Cess? Like, was it a blessing in disguise that West Ham can then move on and get what we got?
I think it was, because we know that Lingard played well for us, and I was in a similar camp to you where I thought we should bring him back. But then as the saga just continued and it was just constant drama and ups and downs, and I thought if he was actually that keen to come to us, he would have come back to us ages ago. Like
exactly.
He's had opportunities, and
Exactly where I was.
And by that point, I thought I basically was sort of resigned to it. I thought I don't really care if we get him or not. If we do and he wants to play for us and he performs well, then wonderful, and I'll be behind him. But if not, then so be it. And I think now we see what we've managed to do. Perhaps bringing Lingard back, we probably wouldn't have him in the same form that he was anyway last time. That wasn't sort of anything that we could have taken for granted. So if he came back, didn't have a good performance, and then you compare that to what we've managed to do, and so many players that we've brought in that are fresh and are going to bring new ideas, I think it's a blessing in disguise that we didn't get him in the end.
Yeah. Anyone else? Dan, I mean, listen, you said all along from the start that don't fall in love with a player who joins you on loan.
Yeah,
And,
never do it, mate. Never do it.
He hooked, line, and sinkered me.
Yeah.
I was gone. I was like,
Had everyone on their knees then.
I can't even do what's his logo? I can't even do. You know what he does. And I was
The worst bit was obviously he gave us a lovely 6 months, didn't he? And everyone was, you know, there was a few people obviously that fell in love and they were like, oh, he'll definitely come back. And then the season passed, and then he got released, and everyone was like, it's nailed on. My issue with it was that it was like Moyes was carrying on like he was the boy that lost his virginity to that bird, and then it was like, oh, I'm in love, and that's the only one for me. And it just got embarrassing. And then when he went to Forest, I actually thought that's a blessing in disguise, because now we can move. And then I just thought it was amazing because Moyes went on a rampage after that one fell through. Look at the deals he did after Lingard.
Heartbroken Moyes.
It was
another level.
I know.
It was like, yeah, get rid of that girl,
Look,
on to the next kind of thing.
Cornet come in.
To get rid
I
of that
think Scamacca
girl.
come in the next week, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or the same week Scamacca came in.
He literally
Probably
just went on a
Cornet
rampage
come in.
after.
And then he would not, 100%, I guarantee he would not have gone for Paqueta if Lingard was in that team.
No, he wouldn't have. No.
I'm not being funny. Has anyone watched Forest play? He had three or four absolute stinkers, and he was on the bench yesterday. But, and I don't mean that being nasty. He just doesn't look fit. He doesn't look interested. It just looks like he went there for the money.
Yeah, well, he signed on a 1-year deal. Tells you all you need to know, in my opinion.
That's true.
Sorry, just quickly, we've got live images coming in from Nottingham Forest's training ground just now. Let's see if this comes up okay for you.
Amazing.
Fair play to I don't even know.
To be fair,
Sam, well done, mate. But it's so true, though. They've just signed everybody and anybody. And sorry, Dan, I think I interrupted you there. What were you saying?
No, it's fine. Yeah, honestly, mate, it's like they've had a hat and they've just been picking names out. That's how it's felt. Their transfer window. Yeah. The way I've kind of looked at our window is we signed a Gerd, and I knew a little bit about him, and I thought, right, that's a centre back. That's one for like the here and now, but that's definitely one for the future. Then we picked up Scamacca, and anyone that's like kind of into football outside the Premier League, they know who he is. He's been, big clubs have all been watching him. And then when we got Paqueta, I was like, is this West Ham? Is this really happening? Oh, Cornet, I thought was excellent as well. I think I'm glad we went with Cornet over Kostic. I'm really, really happy we did that, because you're going to get longevity out of Cornet, and he knows the league as well. 9 goals from left wing last season. Yeah, and then when we got Paqueta, I was just like, this window's mental. I can still, that's why I'm so chilled today. Like the last couple of years, I've been sitting here with the ump. I've been one of them on Twitter, just having a rampage at the board. But
you've changed.
We can't moan. We can't moan.
You have changed, Dan. You're a changed man these days.
He's more calm and more collective.
Sis, you've changed as well, mate. You've changed.
I know, I have.
We needed was one good transfer window.
Yeah, exactly, that's true.
Well, Tess is drinking tonight. He's usually drowning his sorrows, but that one looks like it's quite a chill drink.
It's actually drinking to happiness this time.
How many years ago was it? We used to be in Cess Saturday for the frigging Ben Rama one, and we sat here for like 5 hours. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
like,
we did.
From 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then like,
will he? Won't he? Will he? Won't he? It was a situation.
It was like 5 minutes before the window's done. Oh yeah, he's signed.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's nothing to be upset about. Like there generally isn't. You could nitpick and say, oh, we could have got like, I don't know. You could say we could have got maybe another right wing cover. We could have got another holding midfielder.
Yeah.
But every single player that's coming, I think we've released like 9 players have gone and 8 have come in. So the squad size has stayed about the same, around like the 23 player mark. But every player we've brought in are players that can actually play. Like, I keep saying, like we 6 or 7 of the guys we let go last year started 26 games between them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Vlasic played like 3 minutes of football. Krau played like the same. Like neither of them existed. Masuaku didn't play a lot. Diop only played when he had to play. Obviously, like Martin, Yarmolenko.
To drive your point home, Matt, like look at last night. Look at the impact from the bench. Paqueta, Emerson, like Ogbonna came on. Like the impact from the bench now is they're quality players coming on. They're not just bit part players that are going to play like a few minutes. Every single one of the players on that bench last night could have started.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think Downs is probably still a bit of a project. He's got time to learn, but every other single player they brought in could start in that first team.
Yeah, quality.
I mean, look, in some ways, obviously you don't want Aguero to be injured, but in some ways that's done us a massive favour because that meant we went back into the market. We brought Kira in, and Kira is, I know he's given away a penalty and an own goal in his first 3 or 4 games, but the guy
I'm a firm believer that the own goal that was just shit, Ashley, so that Son couldn't score.
Like, if you've seen the replay on like Twitter or whatever today of the shot when Antonio hit the post,
yeah,
and that ball from Kira, he's literally facing Fabianski and just feeds the ball straight through their press, straight into the midfield, and 3 passes later, Antonio's hit the post.
It's mental.
And we only signed him because Aguero got injured, and then there's a placement for Dion, and he legitimately could. At the moment, if Aguero gets back, he could maybe oust Zuma. Which is, it's no one's now comfortable. There's no one that can say I'm guaranteed to start because everyone we've brought in is quality. And if someone's not stepping up, well, you've got players of equal quality to you sitting on the bench that can come in and push someone else out.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, before you go, Holly, because I know you're going to be heading soon. Who's been your, best signing, favourite signing from West Ham this transfer window?
I think for me, in terms of what I've actually seen, I'm going to say Scamacca because I think it's going to change things massively. Whether we play him or Antonio or we switch between the two of them and manage to give both of them a bit of a break, I think that is going to be more of a game changer for us. And with all the other people we've brought in, I think we're going to be able to play really nice, fluid football. It might take a bit of time as well. I'm not expecting miracles, but I really hope that in the coming months, we can see that we're actually building something that's going to last for seasons to come. All these players are so young as well. We're really getting in some sort of young talent that I think is going to do a brilliant job for us. So hopefully Moyes can get everyone working well together. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to say Scamacca.
Brilliant, Holly. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight.
To
Holly is doing a series on the channel. Tweet all about it. Go and check it out. Really good content, really funny as well, really humorous as well. So make sure you do go and check it out. And I think there'll be another one this weekend as well. But thank you very much, Holly. Stay safe and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. Pleasure as always. Enjoy. Here's to the rest of the deadline day.
I know. Wish us luck.
Cheers, guys. Good luck.
See you later.
Yeah, I'm going to jump through some of the comments. There's loads of comments in here. Happy Amaret says she would like to. I thought something really slow on my computer. But like I was saying to you last night, Dan, it just can't keep up with all the stuff that's going on. Foshizi, good to see you, my friend. Glad you're back. Forest haven't rolled the dice. Their owner's a Greek billionaire who also owns Olympiacos. He obviously realised there's no money in Greek football. Where are we? Financial fair play comes in after 3 years of losses. Let me see here. Hosea, Green Moth. Nottingham Forest are just a team who bad. They are doing laundry money. And thank you very much for the kind donation as well, Hosea. Howard Ailes, Spurs gave Kane a bowl of alphabet spaghetti to cheer after his lucky result.
God. Don't even get me started on that.
Patrick Walsh says, don't do that breaking news thing anymore. I'm damn near going to wreck. Fremer, breaking news. Anton interrupts his guest with mild to mediocre news. Well, I'm just trying to make it a little bit more interesting, innit? So, where are we here? Breaking news. Sullivan trying to buy one more player with Green Shield stamps, one of the oldies. Peter saying striker and centre midfielder, then we can rock and roll on all fronts. That's what people are wanting if we can get something done. I feel like I'll come to you, Cess, on this one. Moyes, we watch the press conference a lot, and over the last year in particular, Moyes plays games. There's no ifs or buts about it. He's smoke and mirrors. He doesn't give anything away, or he alludes to something's happening, and then he does the opposite. Goes back to when Jared Bowen was injured last year, and there was no sign of him playing against Everton, and bang, he was in the starting lineup, and then he's done it really ever since, and he kind of does it with signings as well. And a few of the signings this year have gone under the radar, and you can't help but think maybe he is in the background. No one's come out and said it's all done. He's obviously there, and they're open to something. They're open to some stuff. But what's changed at West Ham, Sis? What's changed?
I think it's from that last season. I think what he's built on when he like first come in for his second stint, and he's like, I want to build like my team. I want to build something from years to come. Where it's like, I want to get West Ham to a place where we're going to get constant European football, and it's took a bit of time. It has. We've been a bit impatient at times because you thought the first time round we come into the new stadium, and we were signing all these players. Nowhere near the quality what we're signing now, not even close to what we're signing now. It just took a bit more time and a bit more patience with Moyes. And he's got the players that he wants now. He may probably say he wants a bit more, but beggars can't be choosers. But like I said, you cannot be disappointed at that. And it's now he's looking at it thinking, you know what, I can do something. I could do something with this squad. I can make history or something, it could be a point where in a couple of years' time we could be winning something like a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that as like that end goal? It's just we just won something, like something that some of us have not seen in our lifetimes. Like, I would love us to win the FA Cup. That would be just like
100%.
That would just be the tipping point. Imagine that this season we go on a massive cup run. We go to Wembley. We have that day out, which we've been dying for God knows how long.
Mate, mad.
Listen,
I'll come back to that point in a minute. More breaking news. The news is that Arsenal are going to make a third offer for Aston Villa defender Douglas Luiz. Apparently, the deal is about £23 million plus £2 million in add-ons, and Aston Villa are apparently considering the offer there. So I think there's going to be plenty of movement. It's just whether or not West Ham will fall into that bracket of any of the players coming in.
They have been proper David Moyes on this transfer today. If people be moaning about us about when we go in for transfers and we go back in, in the space of 10 hours, they've put in 3 bids. And it's gone up about £3 million. I think they started at 20, then they've gone to 23, and now they've gone 23 with 2 in add-ons. That is a prime David Sutherland transfer.
It is. I think they're going to put another bid in. If they'll reject it, they'll put another bid in. They'll add another extra 3 million, and then they'll add Alicia Lehman to it as well, just to sweeten the deal.
Because he's only got a year left.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a big prospect when he came out of Man City. I still like him. I think he's a good holding midfield player. I think they made a mistake at the weekend against us when they brought him off. I think they looked a lot weaker. So it'd be a good buy for Arsenal. Be a stupid sell for Villa. But then, do you want the 25 million or do you let him go for nothing?
There's another player, though, I want to talk about, Dan, and a player that's been linked to West Ham at the start of the campaign. I think he was linked to us back in January as well, and that's Brereton Diaz of Blackburn. Fulham have been testing the water with them today, and they've knocked back 2 bids. He's scored 3 goals so far in the Championship this season. I mean, Blackburn are either going to stick and twist here, stick to try and get promotion, put all eggs in one basket, and then convince him to try and stay. This is the last year of his contract, or try and take the money and run. And then really, if they take the money and run, there's a strong possibility they're kind of taking away their opportunity to try and get promotion, aren't they? But is he a sort of striker that fits the mould of what David Moyes is looking for?
I think he's a sort of striker you look at if you're looking for a squad player. I got to be honest, when his name was first mentioned, he was just on a bit of a run, weren't he? And I thought it was just going to be a purple patch. But he's picked up this season where he left off. He had a very, very good... It's almost like he added the Diaz to his name and he just was class all of a sudden. You know what I mean? He's a bit of a mad one. But there's clearly a player there. I watch a little bit of the Championship. Obviously, Sky don't get the early game, do they? So they might have the Championship game on. I watched a bit of the Championship, and I watched him a few times last season. He is a bit of an handful, actually. Quick, gets him behind. He can finish, got proper eye for goal. I think he would have been a good player to add to the squad, to be honest with you, as an option. Because my whole thing, I've been saying to you and I've been on a few times recently, and I've been saying to you that I don't think he'll play Antonio and Scamacca together. But I think if he brought another striker in, then he might. Because then that risk of losing one to injury isn't so great because you've got another one there. That's why, the Brozier on loan, I actually think that's something we maybe should have looked at, just to kind of have that extra player there. And especially the Brereton Diaz is one that can play in off the left. So that's 2 positions kind of thing, that you kind of cover. if you pick up injuries, which happens to every team during the course of a season.
What do you think, Sis?
Well, about Brereton Diaz, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I would have been as a squad player. Yeah, I would have took him. I would definitely have took him. And he's still. I think that at the moment I think Blackburn are going to stick to their guns and they're just going to go. You know what? I think we've got a good opportunity to get to the playoffs at least, or try and go for the league. So I think they're going to stick. I don't see them. Like getting rid of him in January as well, especially if they're doing well, especially if they're like high up the table as well. Then they definitely won't get rid of him. But I can see Blackburn actually doing pretty deep. I can actually see him doing well this season, to be honest with you. So that's why I reckon they'll keep him. But yeah, definitely as a squad player, I'd definitely take him. Like him in a centre mid, that would have been like, you know, like boom, like that. That it's already not. I say it's 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. You know, like, it would have been that extra on top of that.
Yep, absolutely, Matt.
I've been wanting to chat campaigning him for weeks. I'd take Brereton Diaz because he offers you the wing position and the forward position. Equally, like Dan said, I'd still, you know what, even at this time tonight at 9 o'clock, I'd still ring up Chelsea and be like, you're bringing Aubameyang in. Is there any chance of Brozier? We are still, if you like look at the squad, we're still a wing player light. Like every position now has got 2 players, except for Bowen. So either I would have brought in someone like a Brereton Diaz, where at least if you put him on the left, you could put Cornet on the right, and there's cover for Bowen there. Or if you brought in like Brozier, you put Antonio back on the wing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying every game, but sometimes you see that he drifts out there, and like, let's be honest, if we're chasing a game and you've got Cornet and Antonio on the wings, just gunning at fullbacks, and then Skamaka in the middle or Brozier in the middle, stuff would happen. But that, like you said, Seth, like it's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 window, maybe a centre mid, and then I would say I would have taken a centre forward or like a centre forward / winger just to give that one extra attacking option. But we spent nearly 180 million. No one can sit here and complain. The Phantom Bid Brigade are going to have to suck it up for a window. Except
we're going to have to find a new hobby, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, they're still going to complain.
Going back to Nottingham Forest for a minute here. Like obviously they're on the brink of signing Batshuayi, as we've discussed earlier on. And do you think there's an element of the players are looking at what Nottingham Forest are doing and going, "I'm going to go and get a big payday"?
100%.
Like, let's be brutally honest here. There's several players that they've bought in that West Ham were linked to. Doesn't mean we were going to bring them in. And several of those players, even though back then when we were linked to them, I was like, maybe they could work, maybe they couldn't work. But it just felt a bit like the old West Ham if we had brought some of those players in. The old West Ham would have creeped in, by bringing them in. So Batshuayi, for example, is it a panic buy, or has Batshuayi put himself out there? I mean, I'm not trying to deny that. I think
agent.
Yeah, of course, agents are doing the jobs, aren't they? Go on.
What? In fairness, like Newman and Moyes have got it down this summer. Don't forget, we can all go back to the start of the summer and we were all panicking. We were like 6 players like straight out the door. And everyone was like, oh my God, we've got like 14. Was it like the first couple of pre-season games, we had like 15-man squad. We were like, there's literally no players. But we've got it right. And even if it's been the first choice or the second choice, and then like someone like Ketu, who was on the radar at August, or even West Ham were like, yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, we're interested. It's never going to happen. And then we've come back at the end of the month and gone, well, no one's got in for it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Forest feel like Sullivan and Gold are back in charge. It just feels like the owner's just picked up like 20 darts in his hand and thrown it against the wall. And it's like, right, what's stuck? Who are we signing? It's almost like Batshuayi for me sounds like when we signed Sacco. And like, Big Sam knew nothing about it and turned up at the training ground for the first day of pre-season. And he was like, who the hell's this? And Sullivan was like, yes, you knew centre forward. Batshuayi didn't work at Palace. Right. And if his style of play, if he was going to work anywhere, it would be at a team like Palace. Front, quick, mobile, 3, dynamic counter-attacking football. He didn't work. It's some of their players, I think some of them have gone for the money, but there is some of them, like the centre forward that scored against us. I can't hate pronounce his name. The guy they signed from Germany, Niakate, the centre back. There's a few of them where I look at it and go, you know what? They're playing on future careers. It looks like to me. Either we're going to go to Forest and it's going to work, in which case it's fine, or I'm going to make sure that I play well. So when Forest go back down next summer, if they go down, they might not. Out to the end of the season. If they do go down, I'm going to prove to the rest of the Premier League I'm worth staying. But it feels like they've just done a whole scatter approach.
Yeah.
You know, picked up a BB gun and just got the bloody transfer market index up and got like 1,500 players on the wall and just fired out some BB players.
Yeah. It's like picking up cards blind, just like doing this. Like, this one.
Says, hold on a minute. There's some breaking news, but again, it's not West Ham. Have agreed a deal with Mets midfielder Boubacar Traoré. There you go. There's a little bit of news from the Premier League. Apparently it's about 13-14 million quid. That's the agreement. I think Southampton are literally about to announce Maitland-Niles, I think, from Arsenal. That's the rumour kicking about. So he was a player. He was a player we were linked to. Cess, what did you think of him?
Sorry, one sec. Yeah. For him, Maitland-Niles, he's another one. It's like that can be very, very versatile because it can play literally anywhere. So he would have actually been a nice touch to have in that in our team, to be honest with you. Another player like him that can play anywhere. So, you can play there. He can play centre mid. He can play wing back. He can play anywhere pretty much. So having someone like him with that so much versatility would have worked wonders. But
I think that's
we can't have it all. Can't have it all.
But that's the thing, isn't it? About the players we're signing. Dan, is the versatility. You can see the versatility in what they can do. They're proper utility players. I mean, we haven't even really seen Max Cornet yet, and we all know what his capabilities are, and he's throughout his whole career he's literally equal on every position he's played. He's not outperformed in one position. He's performed really well in all the positions he's played. Yeah, and that's an exciting prospect. And he's not even been unleashed really in the league.
He's open. He said he much prefers playing in the forward areas, but he's actually done all right when he's played left back, left wing back. I look at Emerson. He can play left back, left wing back. Like you've got Skamaka, who is an out and out centre forward, but then Keira can play all along the back floor, and he can play centre. CDM if you really needed him to. Paqueta, a lot of people think Paqueta is just an attacking midfield player, but he'll play deep box to box. Like he's happy to put a tackle in. Like it's true what you're saying, about the versatility is there, and I think Moyes has gone about this window really clever. I think he's looked at he's wanted some versatility in case we get injuries. I think injuries have cost us in the past, and I think he wanted to cover that. I think he's been clever in the type of player that he's brought in. I think the average age of player that went out was 29, and the average age of player coming in is 25. So he's brought that down. He's brought the average age of the squad down. And he's brought players that for the here and now. But if you give them a year, 18 months, that team could be very good. And you've got to think as well, next summer you won't have to do half as much work, because if you have a good season this year, say we potentially win something, or it's another top 6 finish or whatever, then you can go into next season and those players you've got, maybe Declan Rice might go, but other than that, that's going to be the one major player you're going to need to replace. Maybe you won't need to replace anyone other than that, though. Do you know what I mean? All right, Oggy's aging, Fab's aging, but if you look at it, you've bought a Gerdin, you've bought Keira in, you've bought Areola in. You kind of covered those bases already. I feel like he's done the work for the here and now, but he's kind of trying to set us up for the next 3-4 years as well.
And I mean, we're going to go through these players again, etc. But a player that was mentioned, this is an interesting one. It was mentioned in David Moyes' press conference, Matt. And I know what people. I'm going to wait to see people's heads moving in this direction or this direction, and I feel most of these are going to go in this direction. But it's this man, Ross Barkley. I can see the heads moving. But Matt,
your honest opinion.
Go on.
If Moyes wants it, depending on the money. If he walks up to West Ham and goes, Jesse Lingard, I want 100 grand a week, there's the door. But if he walks up to David Moyes and goes, "Can I come for like 40 grand a week?" You know what? Moyes gave him his debut in the Premier League. Moyes knows how to get a tune out of him. He could be your new Lingard. And if there's a deal's right, as in he doesn't want stupid money, and he'll go like a low weekly fee and then higher incentives on being in the squad and being on the pitch. We've wasted more money on less. We gave Yarmolenko 125 grand a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need to go back through all the players, that we've given money to. That, if you want to go further back, people like Kieran Dyer, injured the whole time, Freddie Lundberg. We've wasted more money on less players. If anyone can get a tune out of Ross Barkley, it's going to be David Moyes. But if he expects to be, I think he was on 100 and something grand a week at Chelsea, and if he expects to get that money anywhere else, no, let him.
Yeah, he was on at least 100 plus because they had 6 players they wanted to shift, and the wage for those 6 players was 715 grand.
Yeah, things are something like 120, something like that.
He's probably been paid off like a couple of mil to leave anyway. People seem to think when players get released, it's like, oh, they've ripped up their contract. No, they said to Barkley, I don't know, it stays on 100 grand a week, right? 400 grand a month, 3 million a year. I don't know how long was left on his contract.
Yeah, just
so say it's a year. Say it was a year. They probably said to him, "We'll give you 1.5 million to walk away," because we're still saying 1.5 million over the rest of the year. So if he's going to take that money and say we'll take less, then I'd give it a go. I've got no. I'm at the point.
Hold your thought there, Dan. More breaking news from the Premier League. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has joined Southampton on loan with an option to buy.
I've just seen at the bottom along here as well that Bournemouth have opened up negotiations to sign Nathan Redmond from Southampton. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, that is such a Bournemouth signing.
Go on then.
Oh, yeah. So what I was going to say was...
sorry. Go, Dan, sorry.
Yeah, so what I was going to say to kind of reply to Matt there, if he was to come in on that sort of deal that Matt's saying, then I could maybe get on board. But my issue with Barkley is he's so injury prone. Injury prone.
Mate, we gave Wilshere 120 grand a week.
Yeah, I know, but you would like to think that we're past that.
Which is why I said if he came in on like 40 grand a week.
Yeah, you could kind of understand it. I just don't think Barkley will.
Because people don't forget that the average Premier League wage is now like 60, 70 grand a week. We were talking earlier about academy players. The academy kids at Chelsea are on like 30 grand a week.
Yeah.
So in context of me saying, if he comes in on 40 grand a week, that you are talking like...
Yeah, it's just very low.
Under 23 wages. I know it's for us, it's like, I'm sitting on 20, I'm sitting in reserves on 40 grand a week. But in the context
for me, Ross Barkley, that's an Aston Villa signing waiting to happen, that one.
Oh, he was at Aston Villa on loan.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like I've watched their window today and I've looked at all the signings and they're not like.
I mean, what they brought in Dendoncker. Yeah, they brought in Dendoncker, who was the second choice behind Suchek because he was in the same window. And then they beat us to Bednarik, who I would have taken as a Dawson replacement, but Southampton fans aren't exactly upset to see him go. So,
Matt, Cess. Peter makes a good point here. Aguerd will be like a new signing in January.
Oh yeah, he would. He would literally come in and be like, "Who's this new player, man?" Because from what I've seen, man, I'm like, "Joe, we got a player on our hands, and one for the future." And it's like every time I see us play from the back, I'm like, "Is this really us?" Because I've seen us get used to so many games. Like Drip and Balbuena trying to break from the back, and it's some good lord, it's been absolutely tragic. And I know we've all been screaming on the stream, screaming our heads off every time they give the ball away straight to the opposition. I remember.
I was doing last night in the stadium.
Yeah, halfway around the stadium. West Brom, for example, like that one we lost in the cup where like Balbuena gave the ball away about 60 times. and it was from like his own box, pretty much playing from the back. But yeah, it's now we just got so much. We got so much composure at the back. It's just, I just like, is this really us? That
it's nice though when it says. I mean, you know, and I know we've had this discussion before because you play a centre half, and I was centre half back in the day, and it's nice to know that now finally you've got. First and foremost, I know Aguero will come back, but when he does come back, you then will have 2 ball-playing defenders, players that are comfortable on the ball, that can, Dan, you made it the point last night in particular, that they can drive forward with it. But the one good thing about them is that they've got the pace to come back. That's actually how Aguero had got injured in the friendly against Rangers, because he actually lost the ball, but he made up the ground very quickly.
He's electric, isn't he? So
it was the tackle. Yeah, it was the tackle that.
It was one of the big things when I was obviously, you know me, and I like to do like little mini scout reports on players we sort of look like we're gonna sign, and you hadn't seen a little bit of him last season, and he was seen as one of the best centre back prospects in France. Yeah, you know, in that league. And then when we were linked with him, I was like, Jesus, this is a player. And it felt like a weird centre back signing at the time. But then obviously we went and bought Keira, and obviously that's the sort of centre back he's going towards. But I feel like that's the sort of centre back modern football is migrating towards anyway. That they need to be good with the ball at feet, and it isn't just a case of receive and pass back to the keeper. They've got to be able to, you know, turn with the ball. They've got to be mobile. They've got to be able to pick a pass both long and short. You know, and I feel like I actually think that Zuma, when a Gerd comes back, if he comes back and he gets a chance and he really finds some form, Zuma's place in this team is at risk.
He that's not exactly what I was.
Yeah, because he is not mobile enough. He's just not.
Just don't forget as well, basically, that they reckon he's going to be fit just before the World Cup. So essentially, Aguero could play himself in a bit of fitness at the World Cup and come back after raring to go. And then you said, no doubt Zuma will probably keep his place, but it's mental to think from a year ago where it was all desperate. No, we need Zuma. Zuma's going to be our long-term centre back, and it's like literally a year later, and we're like, well, actually, when Aguero comes back, Zuma's probably going to be. Yeah, he's going to be the new Dawson. He's going to be the guy that.
Take nothing away from Zuma. The last 2 games, I think he's been very, very good. You know, I do. I think last night I thought he was very good. Like he's sloppy, he's passing sloppy, but I think having Keira next to him makes up for it. There was a point in the second half where he didn't attempt passes forward. He just gave it to Keira and let him do it, because I think that he realises that that's what this geezer's good at. I'm good at defending. You know, he won majority of his aerial duels, didn't he? I think you brought it up, and I think he's only beat once in the air last night, Zuma. Yeah. So I think that as a proper out and out defender, you know, that's what Zuma will give you. But if Moyes is going to go with this playing out from the back, then we need ball playing defenders. You know, I'm not comparing us to City, but City, look at City. City have like 4 or 5, and they can all do it. Do you know what I mean? They're all very comfortable on the ball. And I feel like that's just where modern football's going.
To be honest, City just need to play the ball through to Haaland, and he just does what he wants. It's a ridiculous.
Well, they signed another centre back, didn't they? They signed another centre back today.
So I was reading today. He's obviously got 9 goals, obviously in his first 5 games, but he's done it in 101 touches. That's the least touches for anyone to get to that amount of goals.
That's beyond mental. That's just.
So basically, there's a chance that he'll score.
Says, hold your thought there, Dan. We're going to do a change of the guard for a little while. Matt, me and you're jumping off because we're having said that some of the next presenters. But Matt, stay in the background. We're going to come back on. But Dan and Seth, you're going to be joined with some new guests. So we'll see you in a second, okay?
There we go.
Hello.
DJCB. That's it. You get that. That was like the you know when you get like sort of the support act, and then the main dudes turn up. That's what we've got, man. Sponsored by sponsored by Manscaped. There we go.
I know.
I wish.
Sponsor going.
Yeah. Clearly it works. Oh, go to bed.
Yeah. No. I just looked at Twitter and apparently it's job done for us.
Job done. There we go. Great. I'll turn up and no one fucking see me say.
Nothing to talk about.
Typical, innit? Anyway, so what were you talking about?
We were just talking about Haaland.
We were just talking about how Haaland's just going to rip the Premier League.
Unbelievable.
He's only had like 110 touches and scored like 9 goals already.
Yeah, so the percentage, what I was going to say is, so it works out that it was something like, so every time, so it's a 17% chance he will score every time he touches the ball.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's mental.
It's not right.
Mental.
That's not right.
And didn't he? And some said, oh, he only cost. So it was like, I think Morgan, was it Gibbs, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
7 million more.
less.
I love it. I love it. I think
It almost doesn't make sense that his minimum fee release clause was so low.
Yeah.
No.
It just doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another good point as well. Like,
Yeah, well done,
That
Matt.
comment. He's not got a World Cup neither.
Well, neither
He's not got
Skamaka.
a World Cup neither. He can just literally, he can rest. He can just replenish and just be ready for the second half of the season.
So even as well, even if he does pick up an injury towards the back end of the first part of the season, then he's got a whole month to recover from it. So if he does get an injury and if he gets it at the right time, it won't really matter, and he can still probably score 40 goals this season.
You're probably been 25 by then. Before his first injury.
It's crazy, isn't it? It is crazy. We haven't had anyone.
And the English record is Dixie Dean, isn't it? 61 is the English record.
Something
but the
like that,
Premier League record, Salah's got it, hasn't he, for like 36? Didn't he do that?
No, Salah got less than that.
Was it less than that? I thought it was a couple of seasons ago. He got close.
It was Shearer that got more than that.
Most Premier
I know
League.
Dixie Dean got 61 in a season, but that was well before the Premier League.
It was Shearer. I think Shearer's the record. What sort of that? Andy Cole?
Shearer 34 goals in the
34.
94-95 season. The year before, it was Andy Cole with 34.
Yeah.
Bastard. He must have thought, there we go. I got a nice record. And the next day, Shearer does that.
I tell you what, 9 in 5. You know, that strike rate, if he stays fit, he's definitely got a chance, hasn't he?
But the thing is, like, everyone says that if he stays fit, it's like Pep's just managed him so well. It's like he takes him off in like the 60th minute. It's just like,
that's what I mean. He doesn't need to play the full 90.
He doesn't need to play 90 minutes. He just takes him off in like the 60th minute. It's like, oh yeah, you've done your job already. You scored 2-3 goals. You know, have a rest. If he could just keep doing that and he's just like scoring goals, who knows how many he's gonna get? He'll probably be on 30. He'll probably be on 30. He'll get 30 goals. I said at the start of the season he'll get 30 goals.
That'd be amazing.
The best was Rory Jennings, wasn't it? Who said he wouldn't score 20.
The biggest moonwalk ever. Like, you see his video. It's just like the biggest moonwalk ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he hates West Ham, so it's all right.
Yeah. But I think as well is that I think he scored against Bournemouth in that game. He had like not 10 touches in that whole game, or even if he didn't score, you know, he hasn't exactly got to go out and do what Kane does, for example, and drop back into deep midfield and pick it up. He can just stand there and just nut it in, or pick it up and just run and, you know, just beat every centre back in the Premier League for pace. It's
not the stat, it's his intelligence.
Yeah,
him off the ball. If you literally watch him carefully off the ball, like, he dragged so many players out of the game. That's how the likes of Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne, that's how they coming in the pocket, like coming as like a second striker and just literally just making all this happen. That's how Foden's getting all that space. That's how the likes of all the other players are getting so much space. Because Haaland's doing all these runs, like dragging players left and right.
We spoke about it, didn't we, Russ? We were saying that game against us, Ben Johnson gave up. Because he literally he gave Johnson 6 yards, but his run was so intelligent that he was gone. And the thing is, he's so powerful. And the minute he was in, it was like, yeah, that's a goal.
That's it. Yeah. And to be honest, it's like, I mean, it was a little bit like yesterday. Like if Son had played, I think it was a couple of times where he was almost clean through, but Kira sort of kept up with him at pace and took him up. I think particularly in the, I want to say in the first half, there was like a couple of times where it was like almost like a 1-on-1, and we had the pace at the back to just you know, to stop him. And you know, usually that, you know, it was almost the inevitable, isn't it, when Son's like breaks away, and now it's Haaland. Now as soon as Haaland's in that position, you're thinking, fuck it, just let him go, innit? It's funny, you look like a mug otherwise. Right, so the question is, how long until we re-sign Carlton Cole? We haven't re-signed him for a few seasons, so
it's crazy. It's technically on the books, though, isn't it?
Technically, he's on the books. It'll be cheap. It'll be cheap.
Have a word, Russ. Have a word.
I'll have a word, but Martin Braithwaite has joined Espanyol. There we go.
Oh.
He's been hounded out of Barcelona. I don't know if you saw when he had his when he got booed. He got booed by his own fans at the introduction of the season, and he's gone to Espanyol, literally down the road. They're like, he hasn't even moved. He probably hasn't even moved house. He hadn't done a Craig Dawson or anything. Yeah. And apparently they think it's too late for Memphis Depay to Chelsea. Well, there we go. Because he has to get his contract cancelled before the end of the transfer window. Then he can go on a free tomorrow. What's going on? I don't get that. I don't understand that. Surely, for a player like that, just has to and breaking news. I don't know. Don't press the button. Don't press the button. Don't press the button. Matt Jarvis can't come on.
Second one.
Matt Jarvis can't come on tonight. There we go. Breaking news. Breaking news. Oh, poor Matt. Hope he's all right. Anyway, breaking news. It's the second one. The first one, it's the second bit which does me in. Does me in. So I think I've counted. I think I'm up to the right number now. So this is everyone we've been linked with since the beginning of the transfer window.
You've gone to the extent to colour code them as well.
They are colour coded. Yes, green they're in. I think there's definitely a few reds I can change, but that's definitely got. And the orange is when they've signed for a new. So Fofana, because he signed a new contract, hasn't he? Olseka Fofana from Lens.
Yeah.
So yes, 20, 50, 75, 100, 175, 180. About 100, almost 190 players. There we go. Moyes out. Unbelievable. And he only signed 8 of them. Crazy. Absolutely mental.
Where'd you get these rumours from, Russ? Because I barely heard of any of these.
They've been. I've kept these guys. So we've probably said most of these rumors. I mean, this is what's come through from the likes of all the newspapers and stuff like that. But since the beginning of the beginning of the end of the season, really. So the likes of Chalobah and Jonathan David, that Dan Juma. Do you remember all the fun with Dan Juma early on this season?
What? Yeah.
We forgot about that. This is like reminiscing. Oh, Lewis Potter. Do you remember who's going to sign him? Who's going to sign Lewis Potter? I can put Maitland Miles now. He can go red. Oh dear. Mavrodini, Stefan Mavrodini. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, the memories. Milenkovic.
Tell you what, looking at that list though, it just shows you how much bollocks the press make up.
Exactly.
Because no club could ever actually link with that many clubs, like proper links.
And that's that's why we do it. We do it to prove that actually, when people go, Moyes out, I can't believe we've gone for all these players and we haven't got them. Don't tell me he made 180, bids. He may have made 18 bids. And we've got 8 players, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah,
I don't even think he's like looked at that and just think, what, I don't think he's even gone with half of these players.
No, he's not. He's not even gone.
Someone just went, what? We look at a player, it's like, who's at the tail end of the contract? I know. Yes. Let's say he's linked with West Ham. Just because someone likes a tweet or something. Something just to just to get us going. I linked with him.
But
that's friends with Cornell. It's like,
well, that's exactly, and I think that's the thing with the likes of Vanaken. A lot of that was, I think, agents, because he's got a new contract. Well done. He's a 30-year-old. Now he's got another 5-year contract. So that's him retired now. Happy, he can sit there, put his feet up for Club Brugge. And don't forget, that's what happened with Aged. Last season, we were after Aged. It was either Aged or Zuma. One of them we were getting. And we got Zuma. Aged was then issued with a brand new contract from Rennes. And then we get him a year after. His agent... Exactly.
With Vanaken, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, and Fofana as well from Lens. He's there was talk of us going in for him, and he signs a new contract for another 5 years. So
he's like crying, going on the pitch, like he's got his new contract up the lads.
Exactly. It's like today with what's his face with Allo. He's in the starting lineup for Torino tonight. So there we go. It's like, he's definitely keen to join in. He's on the starting lineup for the Serie A side today. But no, it's all, a lot of it is bollocks, and we know it is. But we just say, but we report it so you don't have to go through it all. I mean, obviously.
It felt like Groundhog today when we got linked with Coletta Carr.
But it has been, hasn't it? I mean, I'm not being funny. Look at some of those again. Like a lot of these have come out, have come in the wash several times. The whole thing about Ben Yedder came out and came back in again this transfer window. We've got, as you said, you've got the likes of Milenkovic.
Eric Bailly.
Eric, oh god, yeah, Eric Bailly. There was a chance we were going to get him, but even like Origi, a lot of these players have come through and come again, so to speak, and it's just that's why we keep it more of as a chuckle. Well, I used to do it to like 1970s comedy sort of sitcom credits music. Yeah. Because it went off about 10 minutes because that's what it is. I love it. I know some people hate transfer window. I love it. I always like me and a close friend. We always text each other happy transfer window day, and like I really do enjoy it. Unfortunately, no Carlos Bacca. Still having a medical with Idager Johnson and Sean White Phillips apparently. At Roding, so there we go. Yeah. Burnley have signed another player. Well done, Burnley. bothered. So
Nottingham Forest signed a new player. They're up to 21 now. Oh yeah,
Serge Aurier.
Yeah, I'm 21.
Can they get a whole squad in by the end of?
So there's 2 more in the works, and if they're done, it's 22 signings. That's 2 squads.
Yeah, because they got that Aurier. That Batshuayi. That's nearly done as well. So.
Brilliant. Do you know what? It's like fair play. I know I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, and he was saying, everyone sort of criticised. Do you know what? You've had a go. Do you know what? It's like you look at the fact of look at someone like Bournemouth, and not so much except Fulham because they've just gone into Championship manager about 4 years ago, and just went, we'll have Willian. We'll have what's the name from Kazawa from PSG. It's like my Championship manager side from about 5 years ago. But I mean, Bournemouth are the same, isn't it? Bournemouth ain't done much, and and I think they're having a go with it. Forest have been here for so long; they've had a go. Fair play.
So the way you got to look at this situation with Forest as well, as much as I'm sitting back and laughing at the old situation, if they stay up, then they go, job done. It worked. Whereas if they go down, they go, oh shit.
But if they go down, the types of players they've bought in, they won't lose loads of money on them. And most of them are quite good players, and a few on loan, free transfers. These guys can be moved on quite quickly, and if not, they'll send them all on to Olympiacos, and they'll go and play over there with him, for the other club. And he'll be praying on that one. He was always praying, that bloke, isn't he? Every time that the camera pans him. He's like literally in the city ground.
I think he waits for the camera. He goes, the camera's going to
yeah, well, it's not. It's like, fuck, like smoking fags and doing everything else.
I know. But I tell you what, obviously the way we played yesterday, sorry to change the subject, the way we played yesterday, does it give you a little bit more confidence going into Saturday? Because you looked at the way Chelsea are at the moment. They don't look great at all. They look like they're struggling really, really badly. Like their midfield's very, very weak at the moment. Without Kante's on a decline at the moment, so they do need another player like him, like that can do that boss to boss. Like Jorginho's struggling in there, so Kovacic is struggling as well. So their midfield's a bit weak at the moment. They don't really trust Loftus-Cheek.
They've just signed Zakaria, though, haven't they?
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah,
Dennis Zakaria.
Which is a weird one, because he left. Mauricio. Was he a free transfer in January? I think.
Mauricio Mönchengladbach.
Because he went there. Because I remember that he was another one we were linked with last season. Now he's on Chelsea on a loan deal. So strange one. There's a lot of weird ones happening at the moment. I like, and I think you said it yesterday, Dan. It was almost like we've done our business. We might pick up a 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And it's not like critical. If we don't sign anyone, I'm not going to be, oh my God, like January. Everyone's like, we're not going to, everyone like that. Everyone like the world collapse. Exactly. Moyes out.
I said it a little earlier to Ant. I basically said like, I'm so chill. I'm usually sitting here tearing my hair out during a transfer window, but I'm so chilled out about it. And I'm so happy with the business. And it's like, if we did get one more, then it's just a bonus. It's just a cherry on the top of the cake for me.
Yeah.
And if we don't sign anyone, I don't care. Because we have not let anyone go today. If we'd have let an Ashby go or we'd let a Dawson go and not replaced them, then you're worried a little bit. But we haven't. And what is there, like an hour and a half to go?
Yeah, that's
and I mean, that's basically what I think everyone was the same. It's like you leave, if one was going out the door, and obviously it looked like it was set up to do that, and then it all changed. And what I like is actually we don't need to let him go. And obviously there's obviously been some sort of internal discussion with Craig. Maybe they're giving a bit extra bunts, just to, or maybe they've done something with his family or something, just so he can have more time off, because it is Manchester all the time, man. It is a ball ache. I can imagine that.
But that's the most important thing from this deadline day, is that we usually come and get the players in, and I'll start there. We can like earlier, we can persuade Dawson to stay. We definitely don't need to sell Ashby to Newcastle, and for once we're more worried about keeping our players than we are buying players, which is very strange.
And
but,
you know what?
I'm not complaining.
And all the outpour about Craig Dawson. I mean, I think Lucas did a great little thing to goodbye, my lover, goodbye. It's just brilliant, and he's like goodbye, my friend. I'm just the bowling
You're
Buble.
wasted on here, mate.
The bowling Buble, the London Stadium Sinatra. But no, it just shows how much of an impact he had on West Ham fans, because Haller left, obviously wish him well as well, of course. Felipe Anderson, these players left and they went, but Craig Dawson going, everyone's like, oh my God, I feel like a part of me, one of my children have left me. But
it's a massive difference, though. It's a massive difference. Because at first, I remember we were going, "Oh my God!" Everyone's smashing tables. It's like, "Why are we getting this player?" We had Watford fans laughing at us, doing a Nelson at us, going, But now we're all in love with him. Everyone's just like, Dawson.
Well, I mean, if he did go to Wolves, we would have doubled our money on him practically for what they wanted, which is mental. Look, apparently this is from the ITK, that is Matt Flack, who tells us that West Ham apparently are willing to offer 3.5 million euros for the right back. We all know who this is, don't we? Yeah, we know him. We know it's Thomas Fogart. But apparently Stade Rem are demanding 6 million euros. There we go. That's from my favourite newspaper outlet, Mercato. So there we go. I like Mercato. And there's the other one is Tuca Mercato Web as well. That's my favourite too. Tuca Mercato Web and Mercato, which is not a Japanese news outlet. It is, I believe, French.
Apparently, something popped up on my group chat that Vlasic has scored. Apparently,
how is it?
I don't know if we need confirmation on that. If anyone can confirm or deny.
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. Let's go live, shall
that
we?
Vlasic has just scored. So we need a live. We need a live.
Yeah,
score.
scored. Yeah. Consolation.
3-1
it is.
3-1. Well, we wouldn't want their right back anyway, because he's let 3 go. So
exactly.
Currently playing at the moment. Fair play to him. Fair play. Vlasic, strange. I mean, obviously there was talk this summer of Ben Rama and Vlasic going, and I never thought we'd get rid of both of them. And I think we got rid of the right one.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought Ben Rama, I think Benny's, and Dan said yesterday, he's been our most consistent player this season, I think.
Yeah, yes.
I think he's been fantastic. Always that slight, I don't know. I think that's what you get when you get someone who's more of a maverick type player. Sometimes he does lose the ball, and it is a bit frustrating sometimes. But then when he's on it, he is on it. And I think it's going to be. I think with Paqueta coming back on, I think he'll be absolutely brilliant, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
I think he will elevate. I think that sign of Paqueta is going to elevate certain players. I reckon personally. It's gonna make them think, wow, we've got this type of player, because they're probably going to see him at training. He's going to be doing all this majestic stuff that we're not seeing, and then they're going to be like, oh, cool, you know what, man? They're going to have the rub on him, and you know what? And then out of nowhere, you're going to see Fornals doing step overs.
Well, it was funny it was funny yesterday when obviously he was coming on, and you got that picture of Kevin Nolan telling him what to do, and then Areola translating behind him, which I thought was quite funny.
It was.
The most funniest kind of hang on. The most funniest kind of translation of it was how he was explaining how him and Carroll go on a bender over Christmas to just get out of playing and just go and get hammered for 3 days.
I thought he's going to show me the chicken dance.
Yeah.
Dan, you got to go, ain't you? You got to go,
Yeah.
son. Go on.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Cheers, man.
All right. See you later.
Love you, man.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. See you
See you
later.
later.
Absolute pleasure. Don't forget to subscribe to the 12th Man. 12th Man. YouTube
See you
channel.
later.
11th for 12th.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
Exactly.
like I was saying, I was like, imagine they're probably gonna see like every day at training. They're gonna see him doing all this stuff, like all this magical stuff on training. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, you know what? Like, and then everyone's gonna be like doing some crazy stuff. Like Fornals like doing Seppo. Like Souček probably will be doing like hitting long balls like he's Kevin De Bruyne. You know.
Well, that goal yesterday. I mean, that goal yesterday. I mean, yeah, that was a bit of skill. That goal he did. So
Craig Dawson will start bringing out the rainbow flicks, and we'll be
This is what I'm saying. Like stuff like that. Everyone's gonna be like, you know what? I've got to get in the act. Everyone's gonna have some confidence and just be like, out of no. You just never know. You need that one player where it's just gonna be like, everyone's gonna step up their game even more. And I think like the more we see Paqueta, the more we're gonna see other players gonna step up their game. Where it's gonna be like so many players will be like, oh, you know what? I do not want to lose my position. I do not want to show myself up. So we're gonna
But I think that obviously it's going to be looking like Paqueta and Ben Rama for that like number 10 role, and I think Ben Rama's a little bit more up for the challenge. He seems now than he was last year. Last year you probably were just rolled over and went, yeah, carry on, mate. But this year he kind of looks like he's going to stand there and he's going to make it difficult for him to get into that side, because we know David Moyes. I mean, he doesn't particularly know size Ben Rama, no, but.
Jake, I've heard you've signed for breaking news. Jake Cox signed for Burnley. Unbelievable.
Oh, you turncoat. Oh my
turncoat.
But to be fair, I love one of them like announcement videos. I wish West Ham did something like that. The deal or no deal one from Burnley today. That was just next level.
Do you know
They've
what?
got the best admin, I'll say.
They smashed it. Did you see the Sixth Sense one? So it's like I see signings.
Yeah,
brilliant, absolutely. But what's funny is the players are doing better ones than the admin. Lucas Paqueta did one today.
It was all good, wasn't it? Yeah.
And I mean, you had the Cornet one, which was like a bloody Hollywood production.
Unreal, wasn't it? Yeah,
unreal. It's funny how they do. It's almost like now it's not necessarily about the signing. It is about signing, but it's about when that video, what people do. And obviously, we've had a bit of a. I think out of the 8 signings, I think some have been hit and miss. Obviously, spelling Skolmaka with 2 M's wasn't a great one.
That wasn't great,
but
wasn't it? I
like the little video with James Roberts. In terms of that was brilliant. The Gazzetta Italia, that was brilliant. I mean, the video for Paqueta was good. Obviously, I've made my views about him putting him on the roof, and your record signing. And I half expected Daniel Levy to come over on a helicopter and just like a bit like James Bond, and just like a crane machine and take him off. Exactly. And I did feel sorry for our Ethan as well interviewing Paqueta because bless him, he was because obviously Paqueta's English isn't great, and Ethan's trying to do an interview, and it's literally he's not getting nothing back off him.
It's not working, was it?
Nah. But some of the others, Maxwell Corner, you had Governor B doing the. He's done a few actually. He's got a few.
Colton Cole's done a mix, hasn't it?
There has, yeah, and Colton's done a few. I was trying to. He might come on actually, Gov, later on. But yeah, no, it's that's what I look forward to now. I look forward to, and then the club do the making of. So you get to see the interview, you get to see the promotional video, and then you get the behind the scenes, which is basically exactly the same. Stand behind these flags and look moody and put your hand in front of a camera. That's all you got to do. It's an art which I don't think we've quite got that sort of nuance which Burnley have got. Burnley have done very well.
Flipping Burnley have got it. Why can't we work it out?
Yeah, the Deli Alley video was amazing. Yeah, exactly. Apparently, the Deli Alley videos. I've got
the interesting thing that you're saying about obviously the whole media video, and he's done the stuff up on the roof and on the pitch, and then like the interview with Zinger or whatever. And it's like, if you go back to Monday, was Monday we signed him, wasn't it? Bank holiday,
yeah.
Yes.
Like the whole afternoon, the Twitter sphere was in meltdown. Someone's hijacked the deal.
I was starting to get worried.
Someone's trying to hijack him.
It was like, one point it was Tottenham, then it was Arsenal, then it was Liverpool. His agent's gone off to talk to someone else. He's not in London. Everything's falling apart. And it's like, no, actually, all it was he was on top of he had to walk up 1,000 steps.
It's a lot of stairs.
Stadium.
I know there's a lot of
Exactly.
stairs because that's because he walked up the way I walk, so he came through the same block and I know exactly what he's going to do. And
Have
there's,
you
I
been
mean,
up
there's,
there, Russ, up the top?
I haven't. Oh, fuck no, it's a fragile roof, mate. Sorry, I'm not being funny. I'm a little bit heavier than
I
than
did
Paqueta.
laugh, right? It's typical West Ham because it wasn't in the main video, was it?
No,
But it was
on
in
behind
the
the
behind the
scenes.
scenes video. They show him walking along like that gangway, and there was like that literal health and safety sign on the barrier that says like "careful," was it like loose footing or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
but
mental.
I think that was for like after the fence, so I think that bit was safe. You know, we wouldn't have wanted our 52 million. You know, Sullivan wouldn't have wanted his 52 million quid dropping on the floor. Let's be honest.
No,
you know.
exactly. I've watched Dream Team before. Like, you know, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. That's so that would happen at Harchester United, wouldn't
Manchester
it?
United. Like,
It's so happy like that. I've just watched the Dele Alli one. That was quite funny.
But
Was
it's
it good?
interesting. I'm gonna
It's a
say
bit
this,
weird.
like we always say, "Oh no, it's not done now until the player's holding the shirt." Was really you've got to think about it like if they're recording the media stuff. Like
The fact
surely
is
there's like zero chance that they're going to record media stuff.
Well, yeah, exactly,
and
and
doesn't go through.
that there's a delay on it now, isn't it? Because you have to have because you got to have the video, you got to have the Twitter announcement, you know. And so where it used to be, you'd sign the dotted line, you get a picture outside
Yeah,
the ground, or
paper,
holding
with
the scarf or whatever. That doesn't happen anymore now. So it does take a lot longer, which can frustrate people. And as you said, we had the same thing with Agad. Do you remember? It was like when we was going to sign him. Well, first he was going to sign him about 2 weeks before, and then we signed him. And my brother just texted me, but he just said, "Thought you'd be have a yellow tie on today." Being I actually have one.
Oh,
I do
Jim
have
White.
one. And actually, Jim might pop up. No, he's not going to. He's not going to go today. No, he's not. He's a bit busy. But yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say anyway. Tom distracts me. Thanks, Tom. Cheers, mate. I can't remember now. Tried to join, but my browser.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I was just like the fact that it's we used to say it's all about holding the shirt up, but now it's actually like if they're doing the media, then the deal's done. Like once they get that far in, used to think everyone says like, "Oh, it's never done. It's never done until they're holding the shirt." And it's like, no, if they're doing the media work.
Get there, it's done.
No, it's never done till, as Russ said, they got their whatever nationality flag up and they're looking at it like they
yeah,
just don't want to
exactly.
be there, and you know.
Yeah, if you'd seen the Leeds documentary, you'll see this. What Turf was talking about. You know, Dan James all but signed. He had the shirt. Basically, a bit like Flynn Downs, apparently. And
he
then
hadn't quite held the shirt, had he? But they made the shirt to give to him.
made the shirt. But he was at Leeds, wasn't he? He was there.
Yeah.
And then they sent him off
that's quite
down the road. Craziness. Let's have a quick look. Anything new happening?
Louise and
No.
Arsenal, they've put in a new bid apparently.
I can't see it happening.
Neither can I, but you know.
It's too late in the day, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit late. Third bid about
For-
25 million. They're not going to accept it. It's just not going to
For
happen.
Villa in the position they're in,
They're never selling it.
you know, we were speaking about Brereton Diaz earlier, and you know, the Blackburn try and gamble and say they're going to go up. I'm not saying Villa are going to go down, but they're in the relegation battle at the moment, and selling him would be a massive loss to their midfield. Like I said, we played him Sunday, and when they took him off and put on Jacob Ramsey, it just killed the grip they had on the game. Like I know Kamara was playing, and he was looking pretty solid. The two of them as like a pivot two between them were playing quite well, but as soon as they took him out, obviously they could lose him for nothing in a year. You know, in theory, he could sign for like a Spanish club or an Italian club in 4 months.
It's strange. It's strange, and obviously it's strange as well because you still got you got like today as well. You still got football being played. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so it's like still got Man United playing.
I was watching Sky earlier, and they were talking about it. You know, have you seen that? Like, teams have been trying to get players out of Holland today, and all the Dutch clubs are like refusing to sell because the Dutch FA mucked up. The Dutch window shut yesterday. So they got their dates wrong. So basically, everyone's supposed to agree on a date. So like FIFA turned around and said, but I know some clubs have it later, don't they? So I think the Turkish league goes like next week.
Yeah.
But I think like UEFA and FIFA give like a consensus of a day, and then you're supposed to write in and say, okay, we're prepared to do this day. So I think like FIFA say, okay, our chosen day for the window to finish is the 1st of September.
Yeah.
And everyone polled in on it. And then, like you say, like the Turkish League gamble on it. And then, you know, they can buy players, but no one's really going to sell after this point, are they? Because they can't replace it. Well, I think it's normally August the 31st. But this year, they've moved it to the 1st of September. And the Dutch FA didn't realise. So they submitted their days to FIFA for the window to shut to be August 31st.
Yeah.
And then they tried to change it, and FIFA were like, "No, your day
They're
was
in their own
chosen."
little bubble.
So, like, I mean,
bless.
Gakpo at PSV,
Yeah.
and then Chelsea wanted to get, was it Martinez or someone out of like Ajax? The centre mid, I think they were trying to get like a
they
Dutch
also-
centre mid.
Alvarez. Yeah,
Alvarez, yeah.
And what's his name? The one we was looking at.
Sanga, Chelsea were trying to get
Sangate,
him.
yeah, and then they got Dennis
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah, where and like basically Darmesh on Sky Sports was like, yeah, the Dutch FA messed up and just screwed everyone over and just shut the window a day early. So now the Dutch teams are panicking today, like we
They do
can't
what they
afford to
want.
sell anyone unless it's like stupid money because we can't replace them. Which
That's
is
crazy.
entirely a West Ham thing, isn't it?
Still 1-0 to Man United. Anyone interested against away to Leicester?
You know what?
Leicester
They
in
look
trouble.
poor.
they're
No,
not
not
really
Man
at
United,
all.
Did you see the goal? That was
Nah.
the goal
Yeah,
was dreadful.
it was. Who was the centre back? Was it
I think it was
Martin?
that Samore.
Because like
Oh,
they
yeah,
basically
no,
work
yeah.
a 2-on-1 and they slip it past it. And I don't know what went through his head. I don't know if he didn't think anyone was behind it.
No,
Or he thought he was nearer to goal than he was. Because he sort of half makes an attempt to try and save it.
Let's have a look.
And then
Well, yeah.
he just lets it go. And then he looks up and realises that like Sancho's now just gone through 1-on-1.
right there. He
It's
goes,
just a bit of a defensive shambles, isn't it?
For
Really?
anyone that hasn't seen it was like a prime Diop moment.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a
I
Diop.
could
That
say.
is, yeah.
Prime Diop moment.
That is
I
a
love it.
Diop. All right, boys, I'm going to shoot. Thank you very much.
All right, mate. No worries, bud.
Yeah, go on.
Cheers.
Cheers,
I've
Rash.
just-
Cheers, Matt.
I've just realised why Nigel Rio-Coker hasn't replied to me today because he's commentating for BBC Radio 5 apparently. There we go. Priorities, Nige.
He can still come on and do it. Like, you know.
Priorities. Seriously. Seriously.
Yeah,
I just
I
know.
think that may go down though. Is like the deadline day. You know, like every deadline day, there's that really stupid story. Like everyone talks about the Peter Odemwingie thing. I think
Yeah.
maybe the Dutch FA thing is going to be like one of them ones now. Like every
Yeah.
year, every FA is going to be like paranoid and ringing up FIFA first, double checking what day is the window shut.
It's so weird.
Definitely this
Isn't it?
day.
It's such a
What's
basic
more
thing.
weird?
That's
But what's
how
more weird is like I know the rules are the rules and you submit. But when the Dutch FA ring up and just go, look, we messed up, we got the date wrong, we thought it was the 31st, it's the 1st, can we change it to the 1st? Why didn't the FA just go, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, everyone else said the 1st, yeah, we understand, all right, yeah, you made it. FIFA's like, no. Of all the things
Stood their ground.
racism we don't care about, alcohol, gambling we don't care about, drugs are a bit iffy on, but getting the day wrong with the transfer window,
how
we're
dare
clamping
you.
down on that.
That's a step too far. That's too
How
far.
dare you.
No.
I
You're
think
mocking our integrity. No.
that's ridiculous. That's
No,
ridiculous. No,
seriously, Leicester do look.
they look in trouble, don't they? They look in
Who,
trouble.
Leicester?
Yeah.
There's a guy
Yeah,
I talked
they
to
don't
on
look
Leicester
great.
that's a guy on Twitter. I talked to a Leicester fan. He's got his own channel, and I said to him about, I think I said yesterday, I said like Dawson's available and he wants to go to a Midlands club. I was like, you should be all over it. And literally about 15 Leicester fans were all like, yep.
Yeah.
He's like,
They
we
should have
need a
been.
defender.
They should have been, and obviously it wouldn't have happened now. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that. I mean, I know obviously Villa went in for him, Wolves went in for him, but you thought Leicester would be
they've
all
got
over it.
one outfield player. I don't really know who he is. I just know that he looks like Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob, yeah.
Yeah,
that-
who is that player?
But
I don't know.
apparently
Baines?
Leicester
Betts or something?
something, yeah, it's something Lutz or something like that. I don't know who he is, but of course you don't forget that that Leicester have really good owners. That's all we're told about Leicester, but they're
what?
throwing him under the bus.
No, you know what? They've spent a lot of money over the last 4 or 5 years pushing to get like that Champions League spot, and I think don't forget like 2 years running they've basically bottled it on like the second to last weekend or the last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where like two games to go, like they had to win like one game, they would got it, and they lost them both. But they've been keep buying players, and they were saying the problem with Leicester is it's nothing to do with financial fair play, it's nothing to do with loss of money. they've just physically got too many players in their squad.
No.
Like a bit like where Forest are now going to be at. They've apparently got like 30-man squad.
Mm.
So they had to sell players, bring players in. Like there's just no room in the squad.
Yeah, it's. I suppose now you're going to get the fallout now of all the what's names. Everyone's got to name their squads and stuff, and so now you'll have. They'll always
one that gets the chop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, I personally thought it was him and Gerrard, and to an extent even Lampard. But like the three of them were having the sprint to who could get there first. And
What's that Osaka guy over there?
yeah, the three of them. It was like Rodgers. Originally, it was Lampard and Gerrard, and then Rodgers their starts. He's crept into it, but the Bournemouth one is strange.
It's harsh.
I get it, but I don't get it. Like, I get it to the extent that managers in modern football
what did they expect? What did they expect? You know,
managers in modern football seem to think they run like they own the club. They're a manager. They're employed to manage the team. You know, like if you look at even us now, Rob Newman, all right, he has like his little thing, him and Moyes do it between them. But I think like Moyes says to Newman, I need these positions filled with this type of player. Newman goes away, sends Grant Holt out to Italy on loan to scout people.
Yeah, when's Grant Holt? I thought he was doing wrestling. I thought he's a professional wrestler now. But no,
he does both. He does both. So he's basically a scout. But once he's done his scouting, he just goes straight to the ring and does his promo.
He double books himself. So he's like, where am I scouting this weekend?
Exactly.
He's going to be a Clash of the Castle next week.
Yeah, he'll go and fight. What's his face? He's a hammer. We've had him on the channel. Oh, what's his name? He's a proper.
Seth Rollins.
No, it's not Seth Rollins. No, he's a. Oh, it's going to annoy me now. Oh no! Oh, so bad. No, no. He's not like a world famous one, but he's a professional wrestler. I've had him on the channel. What the bloody hell's his name? I keep seeing it at West Ham. Anyway, I'll find it. No, you won't know who he is, but you won't know who he is, but I'll find him.
But Newman then comes back and says, "These are the players we want." Keep going now. That's talking about Leicester. Oh, Bournemouth. Right.
Bournemouth.
So that's what they do. Like that's how clubs normally run, right? And then between them they buy the players. But the manager's job is to manage the players. Long gone are the days when a manager encapsulated and done everything. Right, so the manager normally will say, like, you know, you have your director of football, what style are you going to play? You have a chief scout, he goes and gets players on that, and then the manager manages the team. Since the start of the season, very much rightly, Parker has been slating the owners because they've signed 3 players, 3 of which were 3Bs, and they spent 24 million on like a right back in the centre. They signed Neto on a free from Barcelona, who was Barcelona's like 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper. They got Fredericks on a free from us, who, to no one's surprise, is already injured. Like, he got injured in pre-season.
My God.
I thought we had West Ham fans moaning that we let him go and we should have just given him another contract.
That's the thing, it's always that, yeah.
Someone on a free from Blackburn, like a centre mid. They signed a Tavernier. Not even the good one.
13 mil, yeah.
Yeah, but not the good one, not the one from Rangers.
Not the good one, yeah.
And Salazar, so he was one of the centre backs we were linked with when we were looking at Kiro.
Oh, Sensei, yeah.
They signed him. But Parker was like, it's not enough. I need more money. Like we said, you know, do you Premier League teams, down if you do, down if you don't, right? People moan that Bournemouth haven't spent enough money. People moan at Forest they spent too much money. But the owners were like, no, we're self-sustainable. We only spend what we made. And basically, they didn't like the fact that Parker was bad-mouthing them.
Yeah.
And he like really went to town after the 9-0 defeat and was basically like, what do you expect? He literally just basically sat there in an interview and was like, what do you expect? He's like, this is what I've got to work with. Winning more players. And they were like, no, we're not having that sacked.
It's like, what are you
and now Gary O'Neill's in charge?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's temporary manager, I think, or something like that.
West Ham's relegation season when we swapped out our midfield maestro and swapped out from Parker's Gary O'Neill and Bournemouth followed suit in the managerial setup.
It's all about Gary
O'Neill. He's like the caretaker, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
until they get someone
caretaker.
in.
Because they're linked with Deitch, I think. They're linked with Sean Deitch, apparently.
That's who I thought they'll get, because Deitch turned down the Stoke job, didn't he? And they got
Yeah.
Neil in, and I think he thought he was going to get a Premier League job. So he obviously sniffed around for the Bournemouth job, didn't he? Here he is, Jordan Saeed. His name is. He's a proper. Look, he's got 2 belts.
Oh, very nice.
He's that good. He's got 2 belts. He's a lovely man, Jordan. He's always at West Ham. I see him quite often. We've interviewed him before, and he's fighting in Italy. That was why it came up. He's fighting on the same bill as one of the blokes I think I've seen him on WWE.
I was about to say, if you say Grant Holt, okay.
Yeah, he's fighting against Grant Holt. He's fighting in Italy, and he's doing London. He's fighting in London on the 24th. There we go. Good to know, Jordan. Good old Jordan side, West Ham fan. To go with alongside, obviously, Tim. Triple H and all them lot. Kendo Nagasaki. Fucking hell, Howard. How old are you, man?
A throwback.
That's a throwback. Yeah, we got. Yeah. I think a few people have thought it could have been Big Daddy or Giant Haystacks.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho, we know obviously he's a West Ham fan because he's drunk at the Carpenters. And he did an interview with Carlton Cole to say that.
That was such a funny one though, because the interview was just stupid, and it was like, did you actually watch the interview? Have you seen the interview?
No, I've not watched it fully.
So the only reason he's a West Ham fan is it the lead singer or the lead guitarist?
It's Steve Harris.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Because he's a West Ham fan, and basically he was doing like loads of gigs across like North America, and he would just go on stage wearing West Ham stuff.
Yeah, because he does. Steve Harris is a massive West Ham fan.
So Jericho said to his dad, like, "What is that he's wearing?" They're like, "Oh, it's a soccer team." Like, what? It's West Ham in the Premier League, and he was like, "Oh, that's my team now." Because his favourite league bassist was West Ham. He's like,
yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised. Like so many wrestlers, like they have like random clubs. Like I remember, was it Shawn Michaels like years ago? He was like a Blackburn fan.
Who was the one that was a Fulham fan? Like basically because of Michael Jackson. There was one of them. I can't remember who it was. It was a mental one.
Well, the guy
they had the Michael Jackson statue.
One of the top guys in the UK who heads up the UK WWE is a West Ham fan. That's why we get things like Triple H and I think Gunter has turned up and various others because it's his mate. They're West
Ham
Americans,
fans. But they don't always follow football. It's just like
yeah,
and he's out there just plugging away. Yeah, West Ham. Get into West Ham. Obviously, like more of the European people know. Is it like Drew McIntyre? Like, is he a Stoke or Rangers fan or something?
He's a Rangers fan.
Yeah, he's a Scottish. Yeah, don't forget we have
Kofi
Kingston's a West Ham fan, isn't
he? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we get it's because we're massive everywhere we go.
I know.
It is surprising. He's like, why is it? Oh, yeah, because the guy that's in charge of the UK market.
Yeah, but I remember interviewing people before, like a lot of people who maybe didn't get into football until an older age, and it might be Green Street because they watch Green Street, and so they, I remember interviewing people. There was a guy called Justin. He's I think he's on the American Hammers quite a bit. Justin Wazik. And he's from Chicago, and he only supported West Ham because he wanted to pick a Premier League side which basically had won fuck all for a long time, and were like, because like the Chicago, like the Cubs had won the Super Bowl, had won the World Series for 100 years, something ridiculous like that. And but that's how a lot of people get into it. I remember interviewing Paul McGinley, the golfer, the Ryder Cup golfer, and he only watched West Ham. He supports West Ham because when he was young, they watched the 1975 FA Cup final, and they went all. He was Northern Irish. They went to a little village. He lived in a little village in Northern Ireland, and one person in the town had a colour TV, and it was the first game he'd ever seen that was it was colour, and we were playing Fulham, who were in black and white already. He saw black and white all the time, but he saw this claret and blue, and then he fell in love with the claret and blue. Frodo is a hammer. Yes, that I remember. I remember that day very well with Frodo when they came to do the filming for Green Street. Yes, I remember that.
Oh yeah, but it'll never be good as Dave Bautista driving off and exploding up the park, will it?
Indeed. I met Dave because obviously he came on the pitch in here at London Stadium,
Yeah.
and then I was in Orlando about 2 weeks later in the first class lounge, and he walked past, and I was like, Dave, like Alan Partridge, Dad. I was like, Dave, and then he came over, and I said, oh, I was, and he was, I said, oh, what I did at West Ham, and obviously I liked it. He went, oh, that's a cool job, and I went, you're one of the Avengers, aren't you, mate? Yeah. I just press a button. That's all I do. You're a film star. Well, it's a cool job, man. But yes, anyway. The kid said, and I think so, I sponsor a child in Africa, and his whole village of West Ham crazy now. That's what we want. The Italian Hammers, there's 4,000 crazy. It is. You see our thing on the... on like a preview show, and you've got guys from Australia getting up to that game, the Tottenham game. We had guys, 5 o'clock. I'm in a pub in Brisbane in the morning. You've got like the crazy.
Is it the Volt, like the Dingyburg away game? The the qualifier, the away game.
Oh,
like the back of the
Volleyball.
stand, like the Jamaican Hammers.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Jamaican Hammers play. Like, you think, really?
Well, it's like we had the ones I love the best. That my favourite supporter group, one of my favourite, I should say, is the Fresno Irons in the West Coast of America, in Fresno, obviously. And they actually, if we say like on Saturday we play Chelsea, they go to the Chelsea pub. It's an away day. So if they're playing Spurs, they go to the Spurs pub because it's a sport crazy. Fresno's sports crazy. So every sort of club has their pub, and they go away. I love it. They go away to Chelsea today. Okay, no problems. Absolutely love it. Daniela's in chat. How are you? Well, Daniela. Tell you, let's face it. One of us enjoying Spuds. I don't know what we're talking about anyway. I just joined in. You guys will be surprised how many people here in Italy support West Ham. Some of them never came to London or seen us play live. A lot of people. We've interviewed people the Indian Hammers. Mental here. I mean, the dude who runs that, he's mental. He literally went through the West Ham official Facebook group and positively profiled anyone who had an Indian name. And then he emailed the person to say, do you live in India? And if they say no, he says, do you know someone who lives in India who supports West Ham? And literally, I mean, I don't know how many on the West Ham official Facebook page, 500,000, something like that, I'd say, went through it individually. And it's like, absolutely mental. Lovely bloke, though. Top man. Anything new that's happening? I don't think so.
Liverpool have just confirmed the loan deal for Arthur Melo.
Yep.
From Juventus.
That's confirmed.
With no option to buy included. So it's a straight up loan for Liverpool.
Desperate. Because they didn't get Paqueta.
For a guy that cost Juventus only a year ago 72 million.
We were looking at
we were rumoured.
Yeah. We were rumoured at him, weren't we? For about who's going to buy him. But yeah, they're desperate, aren't they? They're desperate. And as I said, they were looking. Apparently, Klopp alluded to the fact that the midfielder he chose another team.
You know what? And that is why the entire way. Literally, my mate texted me and was like, "Oh, you're not signing Paqueta," and I was like, "No, everyone's just gone 2 + 2 = 5."
Yeah.
Because we were in the middle of doing it, and it was like, "Oh, the agent's not in the club," like. Because it was like the lawyers were going backwards and forwards over the technical terms of the contract, which any legal sense happens on absolutely any contract. Lawyers will argue over the spelling of a word that's got 2 versions to spell on it. And it was like waiting for the agent to come back. And then during that time, Klopp done his interview where he basically went, at the start of the window, after the first game, like the Fulham game, he was short on midfielders. And whoever done the interviewer after the game was like, "Oh, you're a bit short on midfielders, aren't you? You're going to bring one in." And Klopp was like maybe angry because he's drawn to Fulham. Like, I'm not short on midfielders. I don't need anyone. I don't need to bring anyone in. And then on the day we're doing the get a deal, he was like, "Yeah, no, I did make a mistake. We need to bring another player in. I need to go and get a midfielder and bring a midfielder in." So literally, like I think Fabrizio Romano just quoted Klopp saying, "I need to bring in another midfielder in." And because we hadn't announced Paqueta yet, it was just like, "He's going to Liverpool."
Yeah, everyone just panicked.
Well, I think we all
and
did.
Moyes even said though, like in his interview the other day, I think for the press of the Spurs, he was like, "No, He's like the club, like he was literally doing stuff. Like the club had heard from nothing from anyone. He's like the agent was just in London, but just wasn't at the stadium because.
Well, he said he knew more than Scott. He found out all the information from Sky or something like that. Really sort of like arsey way of saying it.
We were sat here doing the Viborg game.
Yeah, we were.
And like after the game, they were like, "Oh, so has your second bid's been rejected?" And he was like, "Has it?"
Has
you
it?
know more than me.
I have no idea.
And that was when everyone into meltdown. And then like overnight that night, it all just spiraled.
Yeah, but I like that because I mean, as I said, we put that thing up of all the bloody players we signed, and I've got to change it now because I've already put Mello in. Now, boys, I've been taking him off. That's good, but you know that it just shows you how much bollocks is said and how much bollocks is given for column inches when people have got nothing to talk about, particularly during the closed season.
The problem is, right, as well, if you, I ain't going to look through it because you've got so many names on that thing, but how many names on that list have we been linked to for like the last 3 years?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah,
this is what people don't get. Like, when I come out of work today, I got out of work like just like early afternoon, and it was like Brendan Aircraft broke last night, so I was like, I asked my mate, I was like, if we sign anyone, it'll be him as a Dawson replacement.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, collect a car, and I was like, that was like 2 years ago. I mean, what?
It's like it's similar to our starting lineup. We just dust it down from the last season.
And I try to explain to people, and I said, you get one of two things, right? Most people don't buy newspapers anymore.
No,
they don't. Right? Every journalist has a social media account, and every journalist will have a social media account that
has a Patreon
either
as well.
To,
yeah,
and they either have links to a Patreon or it links to either the journalist website they write for.
Yeah.
Or they have their own journalist website.
Yeah.
And they either want the traffic because they get their sponsorship ads revenue through the traffic, or it's agents, and agents are desperate. And as we've seen over the last 5 years, 6 years, essentially since we moved into the London Stadium, and we had that entire window of trying to sign, was it Lacazette, and we ended up with Zaza on loan.
Yeah.
Right. Since then, every journalist just knows if you need easy clickbait money, put West Ham down.
Yeah.
And
then
the agents know, like you said, like Van Aken, right?
Yeah.
As soon as that bid on Friday morning got accepted, I was like, Van Aken's done, right?
Yeah.
I tweeted I think I tweeted on Monday or yesterday. I was like, that was clearly just like an amazing smokescreen by West Ham, because not like Van Aken went on for about 2 weeks. I've put in about 4 offers, and each one went up by like £500,000, like €1 million. So much that the Belgian press were moaning that it's embarrassing and it's awful negotiating. You don't offer 10 million and come back a week later with 11. But as soon as that bid got accepted, I was like, he's not happy, right? We're not going to spend €60 million on Paqueta and then spend what they wanted, which was like 20 million on Van Aken, because they're going to play the same position. He wanted a physical, technical centre attacking mid. Paqueta is still a physical centre attacking mid. He's not small, he's not light, as he proved yesterday when he absolutely annihilated Emerson at the end of the game. He's prepared to get stuck in. So Van Aken wasn't going to happen, but it was still, the links were still coming out the whole weekend.
Still there, yeah.
West Ham are going back in. West Ham are going back in. West Ham are going back in, and all of a sudden, he got a new contract.
Exactly, yeah.
And then moaning at us, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't for a second believe
just in Vlasic's goal. Fuck yeah. I mean, it's a good move, and he is absolutely twatted it.
See, the thing is, there's no option to buy on that deal, is there? It's just a straight up loan deal.
I'll put it in the chat. You can look at it. Not put it in the chat. I'll put it in the private.
Right, boys, I've got to shoot off.
Comes back.
Go on, Kez. Go on, says mate. Take care, man.
See you later.
Cheers, boss.
But
yes,
Van Aken, it was just not gonna and that was his agent. It was agent. Agent's just still fueling and still leaking out. Now West Ham are coming back in, he's coming back in. And he's got a payday, and he's got, like you said, he's got a contract till he's 35.
Yeah.
And that list we've got, like you said, that I you know what, I believe. How many players did we sign? 8, 9.
Yeah. Not 8 for 8 first teamers, yeah.
Right, so yeah, because it was Kelly was the 9th, wasn't it? So 8 first team players, right? I will say we had a list
Yeah.
40 players
Yeah.
at the most, right?
Yeah.
Maybe less than that because technically we signed 2 centre backs.
Yeah, because I don't think Kehrer was on the original list. I think it was the factor of Agard being injured. We needed to find, and that's when Moyes speaks about we bought more than we wanted. So I think we bought Kehrer because of Agard. But yeah, it can, and actually, as we said before, I think it puts pressure on Zuma when Agard's back, probably after the World Cup.
But I know that it seems to be the way Newman and Moyes have gone because is it Brady doesn't negotiate in these days?
I have no idea. It seems to change.
I read from somewhere like Sullivan doesn't do it anymore. It's Brady goes and negotiates. Moyes doesn't, and Newman doesn't. So I think what happens is Moyes says, "I want right." So say the first guy we brought in was it Areola or was it Aguerd? Was it Aguerd was the first one?
Aguerd was the first one, yeah.
So maybe Moyes said, right at the end of the window, right? No, we need a first choice, young yet established, promising centre back. So I want someone around the mid-20s, right?
Tick.
And my budget's 30 million because I say it's what we pay. People quoted 30 million euros, so whatever.
Yeah.
And Newman's gone off and come back with 5 players. And he got actually 5 players. And then they probably put it in order of likelihood of getting them or order of what they want. No, this is the first or second. So I could say we might have had 40 players. But 100 and what's that list? 190 players.
It's almost 190. I think I've counted.
So you're looking at like 21, 22. There's no way we had 22 players per position we were looking at.
No, exactly, and that's what I mean. And obviously, you get ones like today where we had Doherty.
Well, no, I was going to say the one I sent you,
the one you sent me, which it's not even on the list, and a chance to put it on the list.
Who is that? Who is that?
I don't know.
Or like the guy from Torino though, like that name just again.
See that gate, and I could understand a little bit about that Torino one because he was at Fulham 2 years ago. He's a Chelsea boy. I thought it was a bit random, but once you look into him, it's like okay, so he's into it. But he started he played in the starting lineup tonight. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, well, what do you expect?
But still, that's one that never comes. That shows you why you should never look too much into a lot of, especially transfer speculation, because all those names we've had, all the names have been regurgitated from 3 years worth.
Yeah.
And
well, a lot of it is.
He wasn't on the list. He was never on the list. And then Moyes was like, no, we might go in for him. Shows you how much gets leaked. And you know what? I think
I've got big news. Arthur Mello has got Dominic Solanke's old number at Liverpool, number 29. There we go.
But you know what? It is nice to be sat here and not be stressed.
Revert to 8 months ago, the January transfer window, where we were literally sitting here. It was pretty depressing.
We have to get someone in.
It got to a point where it was so depressing. I drove to Rush Green and did a live commentary from there because there was nothing. Because it was we need to do something to cheer people up, make it a bit funny. But actually now it's like you said, we could keep better Danson. He's probably been the most relaxed. Me too. It would have been nice to maybe get another one in, but are we just inflating our ego because we wanted to? If we'd let one go, so to speak,
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 in, 1 out. I get that totally, and
that was what I was thinking today. Yeah, but no one went out, so
no one out, and I like that, and I remember that. And although my brother just texted me and said, "I heard that." What did he say? I heard Leicester was after Marcelo. What?
Oh, that rumor flew about on Twitter for about an hour.
Oh, you see,
someone randomly said Marcelo's having a medical at Leicester. Leicester fans were like, "What?
Marcelo, really?
Oh dear. That one, the one that was at Real Madrid."
On the crazy hair. Could be worse. You could have signed Willian at the age of about 45. Hey, there he is. He is.
That is, we talk about that one. That is such a weird transfer because he obviously tore up his contract at Chelsea, went back to Brazil to play for Corinthians. I think he was having an absolutely stinking time there. And the fans were trying to drive him out basically because he was on big money and basically he continued what his awful Chelsea form was at Fulham. At Corinthians. They cancelled his contract. He come back to Europe to get out of South America to get away from the Brentford fans. And I think he had some sort of previous history with Marco Silva. So Silva was like, yeah, you know what? We've got no interest, but you can come and train at Fulham while you find yourself another team. And I think this might be, like you see like a stupid, like, I said, like, I might take Ross Barkley. That was their Ross Barkley moment where they'd gone, he's 34, but he used to be good. Maybe on training you can still see, like, you don't lose the skill, you just lose the pace. And maybe they can see the skill still there. It very much reminds me. It very much reminds me of when Fulham signed Andre Schürrle.
Yeah.
And Ryan Babel. Remember last time they were out there, they're still there. It very much reminds me of that.
Breaking news. Memphis Depay is staying at Barcelona. He's just tweeted, I have decided to stay at Barcelona.
Russ, do you not read the thing going across the bottom? No.
I'm too busy talking about your ferret on your head. That's as Peter called it. That's brilliant.
Oh, so is he going to get booed when he comes on the pitch now as well? Because he didn't leave.
But wasn't he talking to his lawyers about leaving? Do you know what I mean?
Basically, I was reading this. This is down Sky Sports I've been reading.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't know if you see that. Basically, what's his name? The Arsenal right back, Spanish one.
Yeah, I know you mean.
But
Hector Bellerin.
Arsenal are releasing him to sign for Barcelona.
Yeah.
But so even though they're releasing him so he can sign on for free because no one wants to pay any money for him, they've put like a clause in his release agreement that if Barcelona then sell him, they get a percentage of the settlement. But because the player hasn't got a team to go to, Barcelona don't want to release the Depay now.
Yes.
And then watch him sign for like Liverpool or Man United tomorrow, and they go, well, we could have got money out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But in which case, how much money are they paying him?
A lot.
So he's just going to sit there now.
Southampton make their fourth summer signing from Man City, and their second today. They've signed Spanish under-19 fullback Juan Lagos.
Who's that?
Southampton. And Everton.
Here's one, Matt, you'll enjoy. Bamba Dieng has failed his medical with Nice.
He was because he was on the plane. He probably got cramps sitting in the plane on the French tarmac. Absolutely crazy. And also, Everton have signed James Garner for Man United midfielder.
That is a weird one, considering it's 15 million. He was on loan somewhere in the Championship last year.
James Garner, yeah, he was on loan, definitely.
He had a good season, but he's never done it in the Premier League. And given Man United's limited experience of good players in the midfield, like Man United would know if he was any good. And
He's
does feel like a gamble from Everton because they didn't really need a centre mid.
Well, I suppose they got Adisa Gay as well, didn't they? They signed him again.
They signed Onana. They managed to get Adisa Gay back.
First team Onana. He's been on the bench ever since.
They needed a centre forward.
Yeah,
I suppose they did get Malpai.
They did. Although, that was good. Yeah,
they had a classical West Ham moment as well, where they didn't sign him by Friday lunchtime, so he couldn't play at the weekend. So he couldn't play on the Saturday. They didn't get him signed in time for Friday lunchtime. But they were under the understanding that he could then play Tuesday night, and they've literally written on their website, he on the team news on Tuesday, they'd written he's going to be in the squad tonight.
Yeah. And
the squad come out, and he wasn't in it, and they were like, what's going on? And it was like, it was bank holiday yesterday. So actually, to get him in time to play Tuesday, he had to be registered by Friday.
That was like the Paqueta thing, wasn't it? And it's like the Home Office was shut, bank holiday, so they had to fly. They were going to fly out to Hull, and actually they got a last minute cancellation appointment and got him back to London. Absolutely, it's they're crazy.
Another one that I do generally worry about. Like I've watched them play, and they're not. I mean, they've got Gordon, and he looks like he's doing bits at the moment. But
they'll have him till January now, haven't they? And I mean that's the thing. In 40 minutes time, you've got to at least January in your squad. So You know, and I think
I'd say at this
they'll
point,
do good
I
to
think
keep
if
him.
you're not already doing stuff, like, because don't forget, teams can do the old.
Club call. That was probably before your time, Matt, wasn't it?
No, I remember that.
They used to spend a bloody fortune on it. And we had a family meeting once, and my mum pulled everyone in the room, and she went, "So someone's been phoning the premium rate numbers," and she didn't tell me or anyone in the family what it was, and everyone in my family turned round and stared at me because I was the youngest. But then eventually they announced it was West Ham Club Call and not the 090 other numbers.
I don't know what other numbers you're talking about. So there you go. Each their own. But yeah, no, I think when I think if you was, I know people have said this before, but Matt, obviously, on the assumptions that nothing else is happening for us, which isn't. Out of 10, what are you thinking? Our transfer window. What would you rate it? In the chat, what would you rate it? Let's try and get a nice average. I'll do a poll.
I would go for 10.
Yeah.
Well, we did do a poll earlier on. And,
okay, fair enough.
No. When you were on, but I just never actually put it in the chat. So,
nice.
But ask it again. Give us your number out of 10. Yeah.
I would give it a 10. Like I said, I think today, if we got anything extra in today, that was like a cherry on the top. And I think if we'd have sold, as long as we replaced, which it did sound, our business today did sound convoluted, but it sounded like if Dawson got sold, which we was going to make a profit on, and Ashby got sold, then we had the money to get Ben Brereton on loan and get fullback from Torino. But basically, once Moyes somehow convinced Dawson to stay, I don't know if they give him more days off a week or something, that basically collapsed everything and our business finished. But you know what, like we said, it's in the last 5 years, whenever we sat here on deadline day from like in the morning, just going, is this us becoming a big club? Because the big clubs don't normally get their business done early and aren't running round on deadline day. Deadline day is normally panic buys, or clubs that are trying to offload players that are now going to accept less money to get the player out the door. And
It's not. I mean, and I know the frustrating thing is we a lot of the business we've done in the last 3 weeks, really. I mean, the last 3 weeks. Whereas you think a lot of this could have been, we could be further down the line, and I think that's the trouble.
Now, but then if you think how many people have done business in the last week.
Yeah, I mean, but
and also at least you got the double-edged sword of yes. We've done it in the last 3 weeks, so they haven't had the time with the squad. But Paqueta yesterday, when he come off the bench for half an hour, he's been playing for Lyon.
Yes,
it's not like back in the old days where we get the guys that no one wants anymore.
What's Babe Station? Sorry, James.
I don't know what Babe Station is. There we go. Do you know what? Funny story. A totally off topic as always. I mean, we was down the caravan. And we went to bed. First night, the caravan, we went to bed. And in the morning, like about midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, literally all I could hear was sex noises. All right? And I was like, what the F is that? Someone had basically set the last people that stayed there had set the TV. They'd put it to, it must be the Babe Station. I don't know what channels it is. Whatever the Babe Station is, I don't know. And then put an alarm on the telly. So literally full whack. Babe Station comes on, and it's like, and then obviously Joe's looking at me. I think the mother-in-law was there. We're all looking at each other. Hardly thought the mother-in-law or Joe would be putting it on, but each their own. And it was like, what? It was just hilarious. Anyway, I digress as always.
So really, you got caught Babe Station on. You blamed it. Oh, someone.
Yeah, basically, I got caught watching the Babe Station, and I blamed it the TV, and someone set the alarm off.
Is this modern technology? Like
exactly. What's going on here?
We were talking earlier about Forest. Right? I said there was a really weird transfer. Like they're signing someone from Europe, which looks like it's going through, but they were also signing someone from Blackpool, like a kid, like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, like 5-6 million quid for winger, innit?
But it looks like he's going out on loan to Olympiacos.
Of course, that's the second player who's gone on loan to Olympiacos.
Yeah, because they signed another centre forward, didn't they? And he's gone straight out on loan to Olympiacos.
Yeah.
Which I got because the guy was a European player, but this is like a 19-year-old British kid.
Yeah, it's a dodgy.
And
It's just it's one to appease people.
I mean, he's going to
isn't
live
it?
his live himself up in Greece for a year. Like,
Exactly, lovely weather, lovely weather. So what I think Matt Foster makes a good point. Rodgers has done a Parker and said he hasn't been backed in the transfer window by the ownership. Could be the next to be sacked.
We did sort of cover this earlier, and I say I've got a couple of people I speak to on Twitter quite a lot that are Leicester fans, and they said the problem was, and he knew this from the start. Right?
Yeah,
they had to sell. Problem is, the squad isn't very good.
It's not very sellable, but they've got a couple of assets, right. And the rest of it's aging, hasn't they? So letting Kasper Schmeichel
go. Like we said this year, we've brought in 8 players, and I think the average age of players we've bought is about 25, 26. We've really dropped the age of the squad down.
In terms of players
done very well that. Leicester haven't.
No. I mean, Brendan Rodgers after the game, after he's lost to Man United, it must be a press conference or whatever, obviously, because I feel for them because they've given absolutely everything, but with the greatest respect, we haven't been given the help in the market. Put a bet on them
if I go through their team right now, right? Danny Ward is the number one goalkeeper now.
Yep.
They signed him about 3 years ago from Liverpool. For about 15 million. Everyone was like, what? Around the same sort of time, they managed to sell Solanke to Bournemouth. They sold Danny Ward.
Yeah.
Everson's, I want to say, he's the way they talk about him, he's like a young upcoming goalkeeper. He's 25. And for all the old Football Manager lovers, Alex Smithies, who about 10 years ago on Championship Manager was one of them hot prospect kids for the goalkeeper
Maxim
position.
Zagalko, Cherno Sampa.
Yeah. He's now 30. He's 32. And he was one of the 2 players they signed. He was the guy that come into the place in the squad for Schmeichel.
Yeah.
When he went to Nice, right? Vestergaard's 30. The guy they bought today, Wout Faes, is a 24-year-old centre back. He's their now youth prospect. He's one they brought in. Daniel Marty had an absolute stinker tonight. I don't think you'd get much selling him. Johnny Evans, 34. Dawson's old teammate. They were set back together at West Brom, weren't they? And to be fair, when they were at West Brom together, they were a solid back four. They're part of that team with Ben Foster. Left backs. Luke Thomas, he was the one we was potentially looking at instead of Emerson.
Yep.
Brian Bertrand. Why did they sign it? When they signed it, the Leicester fans were like, "What is Brendan Rodgers doing?" Southampton let him go because he's not good enough anymore, and Rodgers was like, "Yeah, we'll give him a contract to Southampton." There's no resale value there. Castagni could have maybe sold. He's actually a decent utility right back, left back. Rate him. James Justin, Ricardo Pereira is a couple of years back. I think when we first bought Soufal, him and Soufal were the best two right backs in the league. He's been horribly injured since.
Yep.
And Didi's gone off the boil. He was
he was the next one, wasn't? Yeah, he was the next one. Yeah.
Sumare they bought last year. These are both quite young, Sumare and Didi, but Sumare they bought last year. He nearly went out on loan this year because he's done nothing. They bought a guy called Mendy, who's 30. They bought him last year, I think. He's done nothing. I think they thought Tielemans was going to go. And that was going to free him up a big position to get someone sort of attacking-wise in.
That ain't happening now, is it?
No, Dennis Pratt, they managed to get rid of last year on loan, but he's come back. I think he's in the team. He was on the bench today, I think. The only sellable asset, I think Perez possibly was supposed to be going somewhere. Ayoze Perez, who they spent 40 million on when they bought it from Newcastle.
Yep.
Was a mental buy. The only sellable assets they've really got is Patterson Daka, who's not really...
He's gone stale. Don't forget, we were after him. Do you remember last summer?
But you know what? See a player like Daka. I think that Moyes has taught me this. It's the team. I actually think Daka probably could have worked under West Ham. I really do under the regime, under what Moyes has been doing at West Ham,
but they still keep playing Vardy. They've got Iheanacho. I think it's one of Iheanacho or Daka. Like their goal contribution per minute record for Leicester is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they're always on the bench.
In answer to
the
the
only
question,
other really-
Mikey, sorry, probably not.
Probably not.
Oh no, no.
No.
The only centre assets they've really got is like Maddison and Harvey Barnes,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't want to lose them to the team. But the problem they got.
Oh, they're just going down on. I mean, there's so. I mean, you know, it's nice when you've got other teams who've got a worse. You know, an older squad than us.
that is their official first team squad at the moment, and that's 26 players.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So to make room, they had to sell.
Yep.
So they brought in Smithies for Schmeichel, and they brought in that guy today who looks like Sideshow Bob, who's basically the Wesley Fofana replacement.
Yeah. Anton, yes. Just as he was going to talk.
So yeah,
so
so it's like he was very much. He wasn't like Parker and Scott Parker in the sense that they wouldn't back him. It was sort of the sense of that. Well, you've got too many players. Like we did very well this summer. In some ways, we were lucky because quite a few players were out of contract.
Yeah.
Players that we would have struggled to offload. Fredericks, Martin, Yarmolenko would have struggled. Like, you know, if you look at the players we let go, you know, we had a very big turnaround this year, but we managed to get rid of, no offence, a lot of deadwood.
Yeah, no, yeah, a lot of deadwood,
So
a lot of people.
We didn't have to struggle like Leicester. As Leicester have got, I've never really looked at their squad. Just then looking at that squad, there is a lot of deadwood in that Leicester squad. Right. They do need.
Same as Palace. Palace did the same thing. Palace had a lot of deadwood in their squad. They 13 players out.
Last year. Vieira was mad. Like, and in fairness, I was one of them. I said, look, they've got like 9, 10, 11 players out of contract. They're going to be dead and buried. And you're bringing Vieira in. They're going to struggle to get players. No, Vieira like absolutely smashed it. Palace smashed it last year. They were favourites for a lot of pundits to go down because of new manager, new players. But so if we look at we go right. We got rid of obviously Crow went back.
Yeah.
Poor Crow. Feel sorry for him. He was just like the invisible man. That was should have been his name. Should have done it on the back of his shirt.
Yeah.
You know, what's the really famous video? Was it the Christmas one or something?
Yes.
And they were trying a food. And Crowell's just for no apparent reason looked really like depressed compared to like Sue Fowles. And Crowell just goes like, yeah, that's if you're a permanent player and it's if you're online.
Yeah, exactly.
So Crowell went, Martin went, Noble retired, Fredericks, Yarmolenko went. So technically we had Areola went, but obviously he come back. Crowell went, was a position, Noble retired, didn't do much last season, didn't get much playing time.
No.
Yarmolenko and Fredericks we would not have offloaded. Right? We got lucky with them.
Yeah.
Masuaku we've done quite well with. I think playing in Europe, European League going to suit him. Apparently he's had quite a good start for Besiktas, which only loans positive to getting rid of him. But that was another deadwood that we've struggled for years to get rid of.
Yep.
It's a Diop to an extent. Like he had very good first season and he's been deadwood. So that's what I mean. If you look right. So Areola went and come back in. So Areola was going to stay. Noble's gone and Downs has come in. Masuaku went and Emerson came in.
Yeah, like for like. Yeah.
Vlasic went and Paqueta came in. Yarmolenko went. You could say Skamaka or Cornet came in.
Cornet, I'd say both. Yeah, Cornet, I'd say for that one.
So Diop went and Tilo Kira come in.
And Aged as well.
And Aged. That's what I mean. Both of them came in. And you look at the thing. You look at the players that went. Diop, Yarmolenko, Fredericks, Vlasic on loan.
Quality now.
Arthur. No, David Martin and Alex Crow.
That's what I mean. Plus, also you've got someone like Connor Coventry. Doesn't look like he's going out on loan now.
No,
so
he looks like he's part of the squad.
He's part of the squad now. So
what I find quite interesting is like we doesn't look like we're going to do any business tonight, but that means that we've got a kind of backup plan. You know, we've only really got 2 more months now of Premier League football. We've got a really decent squad. We've got the World Cup coming up, and it gives Moyes and West Ham time to bed into this team. And then, you know, we've not maximised the domestic loan market at all, and we've spent big. So if we need to, we could tap into that. If we,
I'll show you my
if we
dog.
needed to.
Trying to show you my dog. She's completely. You can't see it, can you? She's
Oh, you
completely
can,
She's completely just gone to sleep.
That's
She's
it.
even she's bored with the transfer window.
Can I go to bed?
Yeah, exactly. I want to go to bed as well. But yeah, only 25 minutes to go. You're right, and I think you look at the quality we brought in and the quality that's gone out, or the guys that have gone up. As James says, all upgrades. And don't forget, you know, the free market is still available.
Yeah.
You know, some good names on that market. Zagadou is still in that market. You've still got Juan Mata. He's still there. You know, he ain't got a club yet.
That's the only one I could see actually happening. I said it, and everyone else like looked like spoken the forbidden words or something. Ross Barkley.
Well,
I find that
it's got David Moyes written all over.
I must admit, I do think Ross Barkley does, and the fact that it was brought up and he spoke about it and he didn't. Even without it being mentioned though. It is like a project. It would depend on the weekly wage, I suppose. It would depend on loads of things. But if he's not a bad egg, which a lot of people in the comments have said that he is, if he's not a bad egg, then
and Moyes will know.
You could back that. I could back it if he really wanted it. You know,
the worst bit for me was as soon as that came up, right? As soon as it came up on Sky Sports, it was like breaking news: Chelsea released Ross Barkley. I literally like tweeted out. I think I put it in a group chat as well. I was like, David Moyes, don't you dare, right? And then you said, was it like the post game from the or was it like the presser? One of the two. It might have been the presser for the Tottenham game, and like literally Ross Barkley, and he was like, or was it after the game? That was it. The Villa game might have been the Villa game, maybe afterwards. And he was like, the way Moyes said it was like we were one of the teams that have put an offer in. Like the way he just said it was like, oh well, you know, if he's interested, he can come to us, sort of thing. Like if he likes it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it could be the new Lingard. Like, I think if anyone's going to get a tune out of him, it'd be David Moyes.
Yeah, I mean,
like I said, it would be.
He's failed at every other place he's gone to, isn't it? Really, consistently to do anything.
From when he was under Moyes at Everton.
Yeah.
And that was when English media had done their very usual thing,
build him up,
overhyping the crap out of someone on 1 or 2 years worth of play. So I said if it was 40 grand a week, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But if it's 100 grand a week,
no. And
but like I said, Moyes will know, and Moyes will know people because Moyes still has contacts at Everton. Moyes will know, true. And having dealt as much with Chelsea, he can talk to Emerson. Like, is he worth bringing in? Is it worth? What is he like in the dressing room? Is he going to be disruptive? Is he going to upset stuff? Is he a hard worker? What's he like? And if Moyes gets good feedback, Moyes may look at it. But in fairness, Moyes really does look at now. It's not just the quality you've got on the pitch. Moyes really does do a lot of background, research on what they like as a person.
Yeah, and
what they like in the team, what they like in the squad.
And that's why sometimes I think people go, "Oh, I can't believe he didn't get da-da-da-da. I can't believe he didn't get da-da-da-da." It's like, well,
Diego Costa.
Diego Costa, free transfer. Stable free transfer.
Moyes was not touching with Barcelona.
No, we know, look.
Because I'm not saying that because of the quality, because that is the sort of typical Sullivan. Oh, we need like a third choice centre forward. He's on a free.
Yeah,
but he's very disruptive.
Apparently so. What we got? 20 minutes left. another fun transfer window day. If you're new, Andy, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe.
Still coming up on the screen at the moment. Dan James going on loan to Fulham.
It's like It's like surely he's quite.
They haven't
important
really.
for Leeds,
I was reading Leeds fans talking about this, and they were saying the problem is they haven't. He's out of favour.
Yeah.
Because he is the modern day Aaron Lennon.
Yeah.
He's very quick, but his delivery and his shot is very consistent. essentially why he didn't work at Man United. But Leeds haven't brought anyone in to replace him. So all the Leeds fans are like, well, it's great we're letting him go. But like, he literally come off the bench last night.
Yeah,
because we got him.
Surely going to be new. But also, interesting enough, the Liverpool deal has, for Arthur, has got a purchase clause at the end for 32 million quid.
Oh, it has?
And apparently it's 4 million quid loan fee. 4 million quid loan fee, apparently.
How much is the option?
32.
Wow. So in a year...
He's almost halved his money.
Yeah, his value has dropped by half in a year.
Yeah, that's mental.
I'll tell you what, if he gets anywhere near what he was doing at Barcelona, that will be an absolute steal.
Yeah, totally still.
I was listening to... Was it Talk Sport today? I'm waiting from work.
You were listening to Talk Sport, Matt.
Yeah. But it was interesting because...
Well, if you were listening to Talk Sport, this is what I think of you, Matt. And while we're at it, let's bring on Tommy.
Evening, chaps.
Off the bench.
How you doing, mate? Purely because they had a football agent on, and he was like explaining how stuff works. And he was saying about, these like, it's a new thing now. Like everyone seems obsessed with these loan to buys. Yeah. And he was like, there's different tiers of loan to buys.
Yeah.
He's like, there's like loan with a view, which is like really open ended, and basically even like the loan team can just the team that owns the player can stop out the buy at the end of it. And he was like, there's loan with an option where it's like semi locked in, and like loan with obligation where even then there's ways to get around it. And he was like, it's becoming, over the last few years, it's become really, really popular because it does allow you to essentially extend the price of the deal even further. You've done the first year on loan. He was like, but now more and more teams are actually starting to get legal teams in to like word the clauses in a way that they're not finite, like they're not definite.
Right. Just quickly, sorry, we're getting now the new team pictures coming in from Nottingham Forest for this season.
Yep, there we go.
Forest squad picture has been released.
Lingard top left.
Yeah.
Did you ever used to do it at school? Where you used to? There was like a kid. We used to have those massive school pictures, and because it was a panoramic photo, you used to stay at one end, and the kids used to run all the way around the back, and then be on the other end, so be on both sides of the school picture. Anyway, carry on.
No, our cameras weren't advanced. Is that Tommy? You've just joined us, mate. I mean, are you going to bed?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's just nice to be so relaxed, isn't it, on deadline day?
Yeah.
Everything's good.
For everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I can get used to this. This is
lovely, isn't it?
Nice.
Well,
Yeah,
as I said to Rob,
we spent
this makes us a big team. We've got a business done relatively early. We're not panic buying deadline day.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I remember, remember the Hugel?
Yeah.
I don't want to remember a year ago.
The Hugel one, you remember we were all desperately tearing our hair out, saying, buy a striker for Christ's sake. And then it was Hugel from Preston. And and I was like, right, that's me. I'm done. I'm done.
He never did get to walk out to those bubbles, did he?
That one, that was the most bizarre one because everyone woke up deadline day and they were like, right, we need a centre forward. And there was rumours of like semi-decent European and like Premier League footballs that are out of favour. And then there's this really random, obscure journalist just typed up Jordan Hugel. Everyone.
Everyone was going on to Google, like typing in Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is Jordan Hugel?
Ask Jeeves. Who is Jordan Hugel?
I swear that was
am I right in saying that? Moyes' brother was his agent or something, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah.
There was a brown envelope involved there somewhere, I'm sure.
And Preston, his old club as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just
that was dodgy. I mean, here's the thing. That one was obviously dodgy, but I still think there was something really dodgy about that signing. Who was it now? Oh damn it! Who was our record signing? That Italian lad that came in. No, the young Italian lad. What was his name?
Savio.
Oh,
Savio and Serco or whatever his name is. Like
Yeah.
he was a young Italian lad, wasn't he? And
Yeah, it was Gianluca Nani's godson, wasn't he?
I still think
Yeah.
that deal was dodgy as hell.
It was.
That was basically West Ham's version of George Weah's cousin when he went to Southampton, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
That was
basically
like
was.
West Ham's version of that.
That's exactly what it was like. And if you want to know about Savio, check out the West Ham Network. We did a whole episode about him as in Hammers in Hot Water. Carry on.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, it was really interesting, that one. It's a bit of a journey, man.
Yeah, this comment from someone on Twitter says, imagine in Nottingham Forest summer signings doing their initiation songs in a hotel the night before their next away game. It would be like the fucking Live Aids.
I just said, oh, here we go. Oh, James Farmer sent me a picture. James Farmer, we've had on the channel. He's come on and said hello at the ground once. Let me bring it up.
How do you sign 20 players and keep them happy? Yeah.
You can't. You can't.
As we said, they've signed Serge Aurier is going to get done. That's 21.
Yeah.
They've just signed. They're talking about getting in a loan to buy option from a team in Europe. That's 22. And they've just bought another one, a kid from Blackpool, who they sent straight out on loan to Olympiacos. 23 players.
I bet you. I'm just imagining Peter Odemwingie at home crying because Forest have signed 20 players and he's not one of them.
He's sort of praying. He's on the M1 up to Nottingham.
Yeah, he's checking. He's on his way up. He's probably thinking to himself, I have to be next.
There's the Forest team meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Oh dear, I love the fact that someone's transfer window activity can become a meme now. That's the social media world we live in now, based on the fact they've signed so many players. But yeah, I mean, they literally have almost signed a whole squad, a whole brand new squad.
I don't know whose video it was. It was a YouTube video, and they're talking about the Nottingham Forest situation. But they're saying about. Do you remember Joe Lolly?
I don't know that name. Yeah. Yes.
So he was like the mainstay of their midfield last year.
Yeah.
And his reward for getting them up is they sent him to like Sydney FC.
Well, there you go.
I think after they got relegated, he went out and he basically jumped from Huddersfield to Forest. He's been there for like 3 years, and he finally gets them up. They ship him off to Australia.
Tommy, I'm going to come on to you, mate, because you've just joined us, and so a couple of questions for you. Rate the transfer window. Who's been your favourite signing, and who do you think is going to make the biggest impact?
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It's an almost perfect window. The thing I love about it really is I mean, all the players we've signed are really good signings. I'm actually really happy with all of the signings we've made. And the one thing that was a real issue for us last season was the strength and depth. Our bench was not good. It wasn't strong. And I think, with everyone fit now, we're going to have a really strong bench full of players that can come in, have an impact, make a difference. That's the big thing for me. I mean, it's been completely transformed in one transfer window. I just did not expect us to spend this kind of money or sign this number of quality players. I'm really happy with it. I think to make it a 10 out of 10, I think I would have loved to have seen like a really, really high quality DM to play in alongside Rice. That would have really made it for me. But I suppose you can't have it all. But it's a really solid 9 out of 10 for me. As regards to signings, I think obviously, the most obvious one is Paqueta. I mean, it's incredibly exciting. He should have really gone to like a really top, Champions League team. He's perfectly capable of playing at that level. How we've done that transfer, I don't know how we've pulled that off. On paper, really, we shouldn't have been able to get him, but he's here now and obviously made his debut against Tottenham, looked really bright. And he'll keep getting better, obviously, as he settles into the team with more game time. So that's the really exciting one. The obvious one. The other one that I really like to talk about is Kehrer. I think he's going to prove to be an unbelievable steal. I mean, obviously he had a difficult start. He got chucked right in. Very tough game against Man City. Baptism of fire, if you like. And then unfortunately for him, against Brighton as well, I mean, his teammates played horribly and Kurt Zouma kept wandering off up the pitch into the opposition half, leaving him with acres of real estate to try and marshal, and he left him really in the lurch a few times. So I've been delighted to see actually in the last 2 games against Villa and Tottenham that Kurt Zouma has actually held his position and stayed back where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we've been much more solid in those 2 games. But Kehrer, to me, he just seems to be growing and growing into the role. He looks an absolute quality player for £10.1 million. I think he's going to prove to be a brilliant signing.
Yeah. He just, as we were saying before you came on to me, we was talking about the game yesterday, and he was, there's not many defenders I think in world football who could keep up with Son, who was running. There was like a couple of times where literally were running head to head, and he kept up with him. They do say he's one of the fastest players in the German national side, and you could see that definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a moment actually in the Tottenham game where a long ball was played down the inside left channel for Harry Kane to run onto, and I think Kane had a couple of yards on him, but he actually caught up with Kane and was able to stay with him absolutely no problem at all, and he shepherded him outside towards the wing, and you could see just how pacey Kehrer is, and that's one of the things we've been really missing in the team is pace.
Yeah, you're certainly right, particularly in sort of the centre or the back line. I mean, Soufal isn't blessed with pace, Cresswell isn't blessed with pace, Zouma isn't blessed with pace, and obviously in terms of the end of last season, Dawson wasn't blessed with pace. But as you said, the likes, Aged, when he's back probably after the World Cup now, by all accounts, he's a pacey guy. You've got, as you said, Kehrer now, he's a pacey guy. Emerson's quite pacey as well. So it's you're totally right. It's totally transformed our squad. In terms of we're talking about people who've left and have come back in. In terms of people we've replaced them. It's been a hell of a transfer window. Probably the best one I can think of. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's turned out brilliantly because earlier in the window I was a little bit concerned. We shipped out. We'd shipped out a lot of players that needed replacing. And at one point we were down to 18, first team players for squad players. And you're thinking, we need to get a move on here and get some bodies in. And the worry was that we do, what we did under Pellegrini that summer and go for quantity over quality. Because I didn't expect we would have this much money to spend.
No,
I thought it would be closer to between 80 and 100 maybe. And the money we've spent has been fantastic, and I've just been so pleasantly surprised at the quality of player that we've brought in. I just did not expect that, and I was quite concerned at one point in this window. We were down to 18 players, and there was a worry. And so I'm absolutely delighted, that we're coming up now on, I think, 7 odd minutes left in the window, and I didn't expect to be sitting here giving it a 9 out of 10 and really, really loving all the signings we've made.
He's totally right. It's we had Dan on before and various others, and it's like they've never been so relaxed for a transfer window. It's just bizarre. It's a bizarre thing to sit here and go, oh well, we hadn't signed no one today. Oh, what a shame. Let's make him. I'll have to turn it red. I mean, I know you'll be interested. I mean, Tommy, this is the list of everyone we've been linked with so far in this transfer window. And Kalesa Carr, I'll have to take him off now. I have to make him red. Almost 190 players. Of course, we've put a bid in for all of them, and Moyes is useless because he can't get these players over the line.
However, it's the first time we've ever seen so many. It's the first time we've seen so many green names on it, though.
Yeah.
Also, just looking there, Ross, I'm pretty sure Belotti has a new club now as well, so he'll have to go red.
Yeah, I'm sure there's. I haven't been through
loads
forensically.
I'm looking through it. There's loads of reds.
Oh, I know. But Maitland Miles has just gone, and various others as well. But this was updated.
If it helps Russ in another 4 minutes or 5 minutes or so, you can put them all red.
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, actually, in 5 minutes, you can probably just save that as an image to a folder that never gets used again, and
Oh,
what
don't
the
worry.
Drake
That'll be used again next year because we just sort of all we do is get the same people we're linked with on a 3-year cycle. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah,
I've got a
Russ, you'd absolutely love it if you were doing this for Forest because they'd all be green.
Get all green.
I've got a question for you then. Who's the player that we didn't sign that you wish we had? Straight to you, Tommy, first.
Oh, I think Onana, if I'm honest. I really like him, and I would have loved to have seen him in beside Rice. No, this is. I want to asterisk here. I wouldn't swap him for Paqueta, by the way. You know, it could be a case if we'd gotten Onana, we couldn't have gone for Paqueta. So I'm glad it's worked out the way it has. But you know, outside of that, if we could have also gotten this other player, it would have been Onana for me. I think him beside Rice. Like I said, I think that was the one real missing piece. Was that really top quality defensive midfielder to go beside Rice. So if we'd gotten Onana, I think this absolutely would have been a 10 out of 10 window.
Yeah. Same question, I suppose, to you, Matt.
You know what? I'd still adamant. For me, it would have been Brozier.
Brozier. Yeah.
Brozier.
I know we got the 2 centre forwards, but if we'd got Brozier in, you could have seen us maybe go up top occasionally, and also you could have then just given Antonio the wing jobs again because he's still. You can see the way he plays; he still naturally drifts out to the wing a lot. So just sticking back out there, you know, the defenders don't like going out with him. I just think maybe that would have given us another option, but you know what? It's just nitpicking, isn't it? It's could not have asked for. Again, you couldn't really ask much more. It's like you said, it's the quality of the players.
Yeah,
it's not just the fact, you know, it's not. Like that first season at the London Stadium when we brought in, was it like 13 players?
Yeah.
And the only one still here is Lanzini.
Well, this is the thing, though. This is what he said. This is what he said from the start. He's always said it. I'm going to look for quality over quantity. Obviously, we need to now see that in fruition and happening. But he has followed through with it because on paper and from what we've seen so far, you do think that the majority have come on that do have that extra added quality. I mean, I'll come to you, Russ, in a second, but the one for me, I've been saying it from day dot, and I think, Russ, you get pissed off with me saying it's Conor Gallagher, but I think it's just, I'm actually surprised he's not moved, to be honest, at all, unless Tuchel's given him some form
I reckon he's just flat out refused it because they haven't done enough in the window.
No, they haven't. I mean, that Aubameyang hasn't, nothing's happened with the Aubameyang deal yet, and it doesn't look like it will do. Although you think when they brought Zakari in, that there might have been a bit of movement last minute at Chelsea.
Actually been done? I know that.
Yeah, Zakari. I thought it has been done. Zakari deal, hasn't it? I think it's been done, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, yeah, they did. I think Gilmore did go out, didn't he?
He did.
Gilmore, 9 million.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you what, 9 million could prove to be a snip for Billy Gilmore.
Definitely.
Matt, what do you think of that? I'm bringing Matt into this, Tommy, because earlier on he just doesn't rate him, and I was like, I disagree with him. I disagree.
I disagree too, Matt. I think Gilmore's really good.
Yeah.
Norwich fans said he was awful and he had a bad attitude.
I don't think he does.
That's what I got from Norwich fans.
No, but the thing is with Norwich, mate, is that I think that was a really bad move for Billy Gilmore.
But like,
I'm not. But he is like, because all my mates are Scotland. Like Scotland, I've turned it around. I mean, I don't support them, but they've turned it around a lot over the last couple of seasons, and one of the reasons is because of borderline Billy Gilmore. I mean, he's a very, very, very good footballer. I think Brighton have got a little steal there. I think they've got a cheeky deal. I think they've got a diamond in the rough, and I think for that price and also under great, he's not got an attitude, mate. I think that's just Norwich fans.
Go talk to Norwich fans.
No, but I think Norwich fans.
If we lose a game.
No, but listen, I think Norwich fans. I think Norwich fans. I've got an issue with him because Norwich fans, if you remember rightly, if you remember wrongly, their own fans were digging him out for the performances he was given for Norwich, but it wasn't just him; it was the whole team that fucked up in the Premier League. So you're talking about like a player that stepped up at the Euros. Absolutely stepped up the Euros, and
maybe he needs, as a lot of players get now, maybe he needs the media training. Maybe that's what it is. But like that would be like we all dug out the players after the Brighton game. but you wouldn't expect Declan Rice to be out on TV or on social media the next day slagging off the fans.
He did, didn't he? He did. He's he said, "Oh, we're not
Man City.
Yeah, we ain't going to win the title." It's like, well, that's not.
He didn't say, "Well, the team's crap," and they still clap the players off. They still went to clap the fans. That was the sort of things he was doing at Villa and at Norwich. And Norwich fans were like, and he got dropped. And when they dropped him, he had a stinking attitude. He didn't like being dropped.
I'll bet you right now. Yeah, I'll bet you right now, Matt. There'll be no problems whatsoever for him at Brighton.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I'm reading stuff now. Like, I mean, he was getting abused so heavily that his family stopped going to the club. I actually think there's probably an element of hate towards Norwich. I think there is. I think that's where his head was at. I think it wasn't a great deal. And for me, Graham Potter, what he's doing at Norwich, I think it's a really great signing. He's that kind of dynamic. He's that pocket rocket in the middle of the park. He knows how to distribute the ball. He's a good player. I'm not saying. I mean, he could have been. I mean, for £9 million, I would have put it past someone like Moyes to look at.
Moyes wanted him before, didn't he? But
yeah,
I'd have absolutely taken a punt at that money. It would have been a no-brainer to me.
It's pump money, isn't it? 9 million. Anything less than 10 is pump money.
Yeah, it's punt money. Mental. Yeah, you're definitely at least going to get it back.
Yeah. Well, look at that. Window's closed.
Boom.
And are there any paperwork filed?
Apparently, we put a last. Apparently, just waiting for some Messiah. Messiah. MESSI. Apparently,
whoa. Leeds are pushing for a deal for Brereton Diaz. Leeds are going for a late deal.
No chance.
That's it. I don't know. I'm just waiting to see what's coming through, but that's nothing to do with that.
Because I know they said
Fulham signed Carlos Veniculus from Benfica.
I saw that. Yeah. No, I think they got no chance. I know Blackbird's owner or chairman said like about 2 hours ago because Fulham and Everton have been chasing him, and they were both like, no. If they wanted to get him as the replacement for Dieng, that they should have gone to Blackburn like about 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
When they pulled out of the Dieng deal.
But also, I mean, I didn't even realise that John Dahl Thomas was the Blackburn manager.
Oh, really? I didn't either,
John Dahl Thomas is the Blackburn manager. It's like, what? It's like, where did that happen? And he said basically he's a good player, but if he's not gonna be with us anymore, we need a lot of money for him. Andre Gomes has signed on loan at Lille for the rest of the season.
Here's one for you. Hector Bellerin has joined Barcelona on a free deal.
Christ, how the mighty have fallen.
Apparently,
he actually had a good time last year. Who did he play for on loan last year? He was at a team in Spain.
Real Betis.
And he had a good season.
Pellegrini side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Barcelona,
It's Barcelona, isn't it? Just, it's like
still the name though, isn't it? That's what they said about name.
Can they even register him?
Well, they did not sell some property on the site or something, or give shares. I think you know what it was to get those other players registered. I think so. They must have resolved that.
They're still in TV rights, weren't they?
Yeah.
Which was I ain't got time to explain the whole dodgy deal they tried to do with that. Because they made a company, didn't they, between them and this investment company that were buying the TV rights.
Yeah.
I'd love
to make it worth more than it was.
Yeah, I'd love to see an audit of Barcelona. That would be unbelievable reading.
It's not even the problem is it's not even that hard. If you just look at the wages they pay for the players they brought in, and the weight 140 million for Coutinho. I think I looked as well like last year. Like even the crap players. Like you've got like a 25-man squad and you've got say 20 really good players. You've got like your 11 first-team players. Then obviously last year it was like 7. You'd have your 7 subs. Then you'd have like 3 players that are pushing for the subs, and then you'd have like 5 players that are just there.
No, I'm talking like Matt. I'm talking about like at the level of the running of the club.
It's been rude. Yeah. That's the problem. They just give out wages left, right, and centre. They spend money on this and that.
Well,
there's real dodgy shit going on at Barcelona.
Yeah, I think it was Dan.
The TV money's not worth as much.
we were talking to Dan yesterday, and Dan was like saying that he was reading an article about Barcelona, and in essence, the reason why they've gone on this sort of splurge now is because they basically have to win the Champions League, something like twice in the next 5 years in terms of getting the money back. It's basically it's like a hit or bust type thing. So yeah.
No, Bellerin ain't going to do it.
No, but Lewandowski.
How much was it? 25 million? Was it 30 million? Something like that?
Yeah.
Right? Bayern Munich made Barcelona pay the entire lump up front.
Yeah, too right.
Because Barcelona wanted to do what everyone does, which is the common thing now, isn't it? It's a £30 million transfer. We pay it over 5 years. You have 6 million a year.
Well, I mean,
it's the way it goes.
I mean, the CSK.
We owe 9 million quid.
Yes, you owe us like 9 million. We're waiting for this check for 9 million quid from West Ham, and then West Ham, no. UEFA said we don't have to pay it. He's like,
we haven't got to pay it at the moment, have we?
Yeah.
I don't know what will change after the sanctions are pulled off, but basically, Bayern Munich turned around to Barcelona and went, "No, we're not taking it installment.
Yeah,
you've got to pay the entire amount up front."
And I wouldn't trust them to pay it. Yeah, because I mean,
but they literally said, "We don't believe you will be functioning as a club in 3 years."
Yeah,
your
they were very blunt
so
with Barcelona.
But they said to him, "We don't think you'll be around in 3 years." So you saying you're going to give us 30 million over 5 years doesn't mean crap, because you're not going to be here in 3 years.
See what
unless
you
win the Champions League.
All you got to do is listen to what Boris Johnson says and buy yourself loads of new kettles, and then you save a tenner on each kettle.
I don't even know what crap he's talking about.
Oh dear,
Tommy. A player that can still go is Ross Barkley. What do you think of the potential of bringing Ross Barkley to West Ham?
Hard pass. Not into him at all. I don't see the point of bringing him in. No, not a fan of Ross Barkley, and he has one of those faces you just want to punch. So, I think.
Fair enough.
No. Look, I'm just not into him. Sorry, never was. No, definitely don't want him at West Ham, even on a free. No pass for me. Hard pass.
Oh, love it. Well, I mean,
although Moyes gave him his debut for Everton when he was 16.
Yep. Played his best football at Everton under Moyes.
Yeah.
So
he was the best. I know people remember. There's probably maybe younger people in the chat don't remember, but like he was the next big thing, like young English player when he was like 16, 17, come in. He was doing, unbelievable things at underage level for England. There was a massive buzz. Yeah, there was a huge buzz around Ross Barkley when he was coming through, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, just never realised it.
Yeah. There's Tommy Black saying I'd argue buying bang average players for over 60 million and good players for £100 million plus bankrupted Barcelona rather than Messi.
It's not even like that's not even a stupid thing. But the thing is, as well, is what people haven't worked out is they owe players that don't even play for the club anymore millions.
They still owe Liverpool for Coutinho.
They owe Ramos 50 million.
Yeah.
In deferred wages.
Yeah.
After he left and went to PSG.
Frankie de Jong is still owed about 17 million in wages.
Yeah, it's mental. So, just to confirm, if Nottingham Forest, who are waiting for the signings of Bade or Bade or however you pronounce it, Aurier and Batshuayi, that would take them to 23 players this window if they get them through.
And they've loaned two of them out. They loaned out one of the centre forwards they bought, and they loaned out the guy they bought from Blackpool today.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a team sign an entire squad in one window.
No. But I think fair. I've said I've gone fair play to Forest. They've had a go, innit? They've had a go. They've hit or miss. He's a bit of a gambler. He's the old chairman, and I think why not? It's the first time they've been in the Premier League for God knows how long. They've got all balls out, and as we were saying earlier on, if they stay up, fair play, And then you look at like the likes of Bournemouth, you look at the likes of Leicester, who haven't invested. Yeah, they've had a go with it. I mean, I said even Fulham have had a bit of a go with it today. So we'll just see what happens, isn't it? It's all about how good what's name is in terms of bringing it all together.
There's 6 weeks off in November, December time.
Yeah.
And if they haven't got many guys going to the World Cup, that could be 6 weeks. You can just, I mean, you might give them 2 weeks off. That's a month. It's like an extra pre-season. You could just, if you've got 20 of them players about, you can drill them.
Exactly.
If they can click, it could be genius.
And after the World Cup as well, we'll have a brand new signing and a Ged. He'll be back after the World Cup. So
yeah. And I think
that would be an interesting one. That would be a really interesting one. You know, when Aguerd is back fit and ready for selection, because you know the way Thilo Kehrer is playing. You know, if he continues to improve, you know, he'll be settled into the team, and if he's flying it, you know, and putting in really great performances, then you know Aguerd's going to have a problem. You know,
Tommy, he really could be. He really could be one of the signings of the summer because we mentioned it right early at the start. Like he's a ball playing centre half who can be versatile by playing all different positions along that back line. He's got good pace in order to get back if there's a mistake. And I don't care about the own goal because I think that's just a genuine mistake. And his tackle for the penalty was just his first game, getting familiar with it. You know, apart from
I actually think you know Kehrer would be a tremendous right back as well. You know, he has the attributes to play that position brilliantly. So what we could end up with, whether it would be Cresswell or Emerson at left back at that point, you know, we could end up with Aguerd, Zuma, and Kehrer all in the team in that back line. That would be amazing.
I do really. Do you know what? It has been an exciting window. There was several times through this window, especially earlier on, that I thought, why are we not getting this business done? But not many clubs outside of Man City, Liverpool, etc., were doing deals that early. Not many clubs were doing it, and we got the ball rolling really slowly, and I think it worked out a little while where we were doing one a week. Russ, is that right? Something like that, and then it kind of died a little bit of a death for a couple of weeks, and then bang, we got some more in. But each signing that we got looked. Honestly, it's like Moyes has changed the opinion. It's like when we were linked to the player and you knew they were doing the medical, you were like picking the squad and going, right, yeah, I get that, yeah, that does that, and, right, that's cool, you know. And I think back, I mean, we got the image there of Russ, like all the players.
What the image that everyone else nicks on every other YouTube, every other social media. Yeah, the image I did, and everyone else. I'm not, but you know, Anyway,
you should have put your old logo on it, Ross.
I should have watermarked it. It's my own fault.
Yeah, I should have watermarked it.
Yeah. So let's just briefly go through it. Aguerd, centre half, ball playing centre half, looks the real deal. Obviously got injured at the Rangers pre-season game. I was there. It was disappointing. I mean, he lost the ball, but what was absolutely mind-boggling was the fact that he was so electric and so fast to get back to recover, and unfortunately it was the tackle in his recovery that what made the injury. But he really looks like a top-notch defender, and you said that, Tommy, didn't you? When he comes back in, there's no dead cert that he's going to be there. I mean Dan made the point earlier on that if he comes back, that Zuma could be in trouble as well. Like if no one's really safe in that defense if you've got these players firing on all cylinders, and on top of that, we've still got Craig Dawson.
Yes.
But that is what you want. You want players to not be comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that means they have to keep performances up.
Happy with Aguerd?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know much about him at the time that we signed him. But obviously, once he became a West Ham player, I kind of looked into him, see what kind of player he was. And yeah, I think he's a ball-playing centre-back, much like Kehrer, and it's something we need. One of the things actually that drove me crazy in the Villa game was Zuma getting the ball and just hoofing it up the field all the time. There's far too many balls being hooped. So we need ball-playing centre-backs, and Aguerd is one of those. He looks a really good prospect. He's got some pace about him too, strong on the air. I think he'll prove to be a really good signing.
Absolutely. Next up is Flynn Downs, wasn't it? He came in from Swansea. Is that right? Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
Areola.
Areola, I think Areola. Yeah, I mean that goes with
From-
without saying, really, with Areola. That was a great deal to get done.
Matt, how would you describe the Flynn Downs deal? I mean,
It was quite.
Just
It was a
briefly.
surprise, wasn't it?
well,
Like,
just
it
briefly
wasn't-
though.
He had very good reviews out of the championship last year. As I mean, the best way to describe it is, I think the club look at him as like a long-term replacement for Noble. You know, that guy that can break up the play and just his job is to break up the play and pass it to the better players.
Yeah.
Although he has got a very good array of passing himself. He was on one of the highest percentages for passing. Was it in England?
Yep.
Like he was in like the top 5 English players or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like 90.
But that really was a deal out of not like, you know, it was everyone said he was going to Palace and evidently the shirt had been printed for him to do the media duties. And he actually himself, I don't know where the interview was. I only read an excerpt of it the other day. He did an interview with someone, and he said he literally went to bed thinking he was going to Palace, and then he went into like Swansea's training ground the next morning, and the manager was like, "Oh, there's been an offer from West Ham on the table," and it was almost done in like a day, wasn't it, or like a day and a half? But we needed someone to come in and replace Noble. We needed that. Guy that wants to do the ugly, not pretty work.
But also for like, he's a West Ham boy, isn't it? And I know it's something that's almost like it's a secondary thing. But obviously, you know, we like having one of our own in the squad. You know, we've had and last year we lost 2. We lost this summer. We obviously lost Nobes and we lost David Martin. You know, 2 West Ham boys, and you know, and you need a little bit of that, I think, at West Ham, just to sort of when it is the big games like the Tottenham games and stuff like that. I mean, you listen to, you know, when we had Pedro Obiang on the channel, he spoke about how Mark Noble would basically jeer them all up, you know, from a West Ham perspective rather than necessarily from a captain perspective, and it's important for West Ham. You know, people talk about how we're not West Ham anymore, and you know all this type of thing. Having someone like Flynn Downs in and around the squad. You know, it's always good having one of your own in you know, around the first team, and so I think he hopefully will get some more game time going into the Europa Conference games.
Ooh, breaking news!
Oh, I've just deleted
it is
the
actually
video.
Breaking news, and it is actually West Ham.
Go on in.
West Ham can confirm that Gonzalo.
Gonzalez
Cardosa's
has
gone.
completed a permanent transfer to CS Maritmo.
Well, there you go. There
A
we
minute ago
go.
on the club's Twitter account. Nobody expected anything to happen, but he's gone.
He's gone. That's it. It's down to. I've taken it down to an 8 now. Unbelievable.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Cardosa has left West Ham on a permanent deal. He's joined CS
Maritmo,
yeah, on a permanent deal.
Yeah.
He didn't get to walk out the balls either. Don't go to bed. Don't go to bed. X was wrong. He said don't go to. He said go to bed. Sean said go to bed.
Oh, no.
But we're still here, and now we know that.
That always comes up. It always comes up on Twitter. It was a couple of years back. Leeds United done it, and they put a thing up of their fans saying don't go to bed, and all the Leeds fans were like, "Oh my god, we've got something going on," and it literally was like they sold 2 of their academy players to teams in like League 2, and they like all went absolutely mad. It was like, and it's really old. You know the old, really, like the old style Twitter. You know what I'm talking about, the layout. That's how old the picture is. They must have been like League 1 or Championship at the time.
Yeah.
Now stayed up now. Yeah, exactly. You would have missed it. You'd have woke up tomorrow devastated that he's gone.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you know, losing Dawson was one thing, but losing Cardosa, I don't think we could cope.
That's it. I'm done now.
You know what? So it was he one of Pellegrini's one.
Yes.
Or am I getting confused with?
No, he was a Pellegrini signing. Quite one of the early ones.
I saw Tommy. He's got to be under that ones that we need to look at for dodgy brown envelope. Because he apparently was like one of the highest rated prospects of centre backs.
August 2019, he joined West Ham. August 2019.
Yes, he was.
And he's been on loan for the last couple of seasons with the Swiss alongside Basel and in La Liga with Real Betis.
Real Betis, Pellegrini's club.
Pellegrini's club. So we'll keep that one up there for people that didn't know that. But we're on to Scamacca next. I mean, Tommy, Scamacca, I mean, I know he wasn't well at the weekend, and hopefully he'll be back raring to go for the Chelsea game. I don't think he's trained a lot, which might be a concern as well. So he probably will struggle in terms of that one. But great to have options. It means that Antonio can get rested and can turn up and do something like he did a little bit last night. How do you rate the Scamacca signing?
Again, very good signing. This is a player I knew already. So, I had seen him. I do watch a little bit of Serie A. I'd seen him play for Sassuolo. I'd seen him play a couple of times for Italy. I was aware of him. Felt like he was I didn't think much on him. You just watch the game and you notice, he's playing. But he's a very good signing. And finally, I think it was just the utter relief that we'd actually spent big money on a number 9, finally, and had a proper striker at the club who was actually a really quality player. Because that was probably our most desperate need, really. It had just been far too long, that we'd gone without one. So that was an exciting signing. And he has looked very, very good in the games we've seen him in. Obviously, we've seen him mostly in Conference League. But you can see he's a goal scorer. He doesn't get dragged out to the wings so much like Antonio does. He tends to stay in and around the penalty area, always looking to get in behind, make those little runs, play those little 1-2s. Looks very sharp in and around the box. Obviously a finisher. Really excited for this one. And as you say, it'll really help Antonio too. I think Antonio's very good performance against Tottenham was partly due to the fact that he didn't have to play against Villa. We were able to put Scamacca in. Antonio came on for a cameo role, so he was absolutely fresh for the Tottenham game, and you could see, that he was able to do the 90 minutes, no problem. Antonio played far too much football last season. He just couldn't have been expected to sustain that, at a high level for that long, that many games. So I think it'll do Antonio the world of good. And hopefully now we'll start seeing Scamacca more often, see more starts. I probably won't be able to start against Chelsea, given that he was ill and missed training. I think best case scenario is that he'll be fit enough to go on the bench, and that we'll see him make a cameo appearance off the bench against Chelsea. But another really, really good signing. He has the potential to be a really good goal scorer for us. You'd be amazed if he gets enough starts, obviously, that if he didn't hit double figures in the season,
Yeah. He does. He really does excite me, and I think that his progressive style of football and on top of that, like you said, Tommy, just giving Antonio needs that rest, and he's getting that rest, and it definitely does. It's definitely reasonably exciting. Who's next up?
Yeah, I do apologise now, chaps. I will let you crack on with it.
Right,
I do have to head away. Listen, thanks for having me on, and we'll talk to you all again soon.
No worries, mate. Take it easy. Cheers for that, mate.
Cheers, Tom.
Right, Corney. We'll run through these then. Go on then. Corney, I mean, where are you at, Russ?
Well, we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him really yet, have we? Let's be honest. We haven't. We know what he can bring, and I think the fact is Ben Rama's playing so well that he's not getting a look in at the moment, but his time will come. And it may come starting off in the Europa League game, Europa Conference games, and so he'll probably play on Thursday. And I think it's same to Scamacca. I can see him hopefully probably both play on Thursday, and so they're setting up a partnership. I'm quite excited to see Cornet working with, the likes of Ben Rama, the likes of someone else we're going to talk about at the end. But I think he's a great. We know what Cornet can bring: real pace and directness, and he takes the ball and runs. And to be honest, we've lost a player like that. I know I'm going to say it very quietly. In Arthur Masuaku, when he had the ball, he runs forward. The first thing he wants to do is run with the ball rather than necessarily pass it, and that's what Cornet likes to do. He likes the ball at his feet. So, good signing. We know what he can bring, and I think we'll have a decent season out of him. I really do.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited for. I'm definitely excited for Corney, especially his versatility, and I think we'll see him used in that kind of role as well. And yeah, it's definitely exciting. Who's after Corney then?
Then after Cornet. Kira.
Kira. Matt.
You know what? I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot about him at all. But then you read that is it over the last calendar year or the last football year that he's played more minutes for Germany than anyone else.
Yep.
A lot of PSG fans were like, "Oh, he's not very good," and it's like, "Well, hang on a minute, but maybe he's not good enough to be a Champions League winning centre back." But sometimes when you want to get to a certain level, sometimes it is like worth picking off either the best players of the lesser teams, like Cornet, or you get the squad player of a better team. And the fact that he's played more minutes than anyone else, just straight away you're like, okay, no, the guy means business. And then so I didn't look at PSG videos, went and looked at Germany videos, and you think, hang on, the guy's got a pass on him. He's a ball playing centre back. I didn't know how quick he was until you watched the game yesterday, and you're like, I actually know he is. I thought, you know what, he's mobile, and a thing that's killed our team for the last 2 years. There was times yesterday when we got hit on the counter attack, and you think, oh great, they're away, but actually, like, he kept up the whole time. You think back to like that game, was it 3-1 we lost to Spurs last year, and like Dawson just getting roasted every time because he's not that sort of defender. So bringing him in, and then of course he coincided with, in the same week we sold Diop, and then there was the outcry as usual, the meltdown on Twitter, why we sold Diop when now we don't have enough centre backs as it is, and we bought him in for 5 million less. Like, for me, he was the unknown, probably the unexpected transfer.
Yeah.
Like, I know we spent 50 million on Paqueta. I know we spent 30 million on Scamacca, and they will be the two big marquee signings. But for me, Thilo Kehrer, from what he's already done, could be our signing of the year.
Yep. Next up is Emerson Palmieri. Russ, happy?
Yep. I mean, not my first choice at left back, but Premiership experience, European experience, another international player, another player who's not going to be going to the World Cup either, so he'll have a rest over Christmas, same as Scamacca. I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice, but he's a player for now, and we needed some cover at left back, and we got it. Really. I think 12, 13 quid. 13 quid, 12, 13 million.
Quid.
Yeah, bargain. I'll get him. He can sit here. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And last but not least, our record signing, Lucas Paqueta, is signed for West Ham a couple of days ago. Made his debut against Tottenham, and
that's the team.
Yeah, and he looked the business.
Got sticky feet.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
I genuinely was like I think we were first linked to him back at the start of August, and at the time it was like 80 million quid. I just laughed. I'm pretty sure I've sat on this channel before and said we will never spend Haller money again. I was like, Sullivan got his fingers burnt with the Haller deal, with the Anderson deal. We will never spend north of 30 million again. And when that money come in, he has got the Payet vibes. I don't want to sit there and make the comparison, but he makes the ball stick to his feet.
Yeah,
he's got phenomenal range of passing. He's technically phenomenal, and he's not lightweight. He does get stuck in. He does like putting his foot in for a tackle. He has got the strength to bounce off players. Like, this is the guy. I know in the first few games we haven't been on form, but you could see that in some points in our play, even in the Villa game, that there was a lack of connection between the midfield and the striker. And Scamacca played how many minutes and just didn't get a lot of service. But that is like the diamond in our transfer window.
Yeah.
And here's an image, Russ. Here's an image to rustle your feathers a little bit.
Yeah.
I've stolen it from the old West Ham. There you go.
Get our own back for nicking our images. Yeah, no, very good, very good. Oh, and we said apart from maybe the exception of Downs at the moment, all 7 of the others could walk into the first team. You know, I think Downs is one for the future. I think Downs is one as you said, as a noble replacement. Again, arguably starting centre back when he is fit. Emerson could easily should be replacing Cresswell. Areola and Fabianski, vying for that. Kira as well. Paqueta, Schumacher up front, Cornet on the left. They're all first. It's exactly what Moyes said. He wanted to bring in players who would improve that first team rather than just squad players, and he did. And we had a great window around. I totally agree with 2 up, 2 down.
Absolutely. Well, time for the players to settle in. Time for the season to start. We've got what 2? Is it 2? When does the season stop? Like mid-break for the World Cup? Is it November?
Mid-November, yeah.
So we've literally got September. We've got 2.5 months.
Yeah,
2.5 months to go, really, of the season. So time to kick in and get the results and get the points on the board. That's it.
Innit?
Well, if you're new around here, hit that cheeky subscribe button. Help us out. Do you know, I was thinking about this today, and I'm going to put a couple of posts out this week. Ex-professional players, loads of people in the media. Yesterday we had a comedian on, didn't we, Russ, on the review? Just came on doing it. We give you previews, reviews, breaking news, stats galore. I honestly think it's stats left, right, and centre. So if you are enjoying the content that we give you, please hit that cheeky subscribe button. And Batshuayi to Forest is off. Is it?
Oh well. What a shame.
Last game was the 12th of November.
Falls through. There we go. What a shame.
But anyway, just if you are new, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, give us your feedback. Tomorrow we'll be back. Russ will be back with the daily Hammers headlines.
I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about because we've got those transfers now. I'll find something else out. I'll sort something else out. We'll get it. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe. Might be done a quiz for ages. Maybe, yeah. Maybe we'll do a quiz. Anyway.
Have you say?
Yeah, could do.
Yeah, all that stuff. Anyway, listen, thanks for watching. Just keep following West Ham and support the team and hit like and subscribe and you name it. We're going. Russ, you do the buttons because we're going to probably do them together.
Yeah, all right. And as always, like to thank my channel members. So, Tatar, bye-bye, come your irons, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. Stay lucky, bye.
Bye.
It's like a family tree, all of you.